Are we doing something? Oh. I was just about to say we're doing something different here. I'm starting before, I'm starting a little early, so Sean's not gonna know that I've already started the recording, but Sean is calling me now, so let's get this started. Greetings. Alright, Big the Cat.
Yes.
Aren't you glad I got that? I mean, I'm a Sonic fan, so how could I not?
I mean, one of my favorite moments of all time ever in my life is the way I made you pop during that AI dungeon recitation. Saying, "Don't get too excited, boys.
Those were the easy ones." Yeah.
You deploy 6 waves of robots for Skyler and Joshua to kill. You set the robots to follow Skyler and Joshua's movements. In a few short minutes, they are both dead.
Wow. Of course.
You say, "Don't get too excited, boys. Those were the easy
ones." Yeah. Wow.
Holy
bro.
Jerk. Easy? I'm dead and you're an idiot.
Don't get too excited, boys. Those were the easy ones.
I go back and watch that alone just to hear the pop that you made because it brings me joy.
Oh, it brought me joy.
And it was, because it was just so out of nowhere, and I knew you'd be super excited for it.
Oh, hell yeah. Any Sonic Heroes reference you could possibly come up with would just be the best.
Yeah, it's funny. I was sitting on my chair waiting for you to be ready, baked as shit. And I sat up in my chair. I was like, "Here we go!" I'm like, all right, I guess I'm Vector today.
Calls me, and when I answer, you just start insulting me. You're like, "Take this! Take this! Take this!"
I'll take the lead!
You know what they say, the more the merrier. You know what they say, the more the merrier.
You know what they say, the more the merrier. You know what they say, the more the merrier. You know what they say, the more the merrier. You know what they say, the more the merrier. You know what they say, the more the merrier.
Just 100 times.
So messed up about that is that was the best one of the 14 finishers.
I'm nostalgic for Team Sonic and Team Shadow's what was it called? Team Blast.
Chaos Control.
Yeah. And the one with Team Rose was just garbage.
Terrible. But I loved the reason why I loved Vector's the Team Blast for Chaotix is that they gave you rings. So you not only gain more lives if you're around a lot of enemies, but then you just have another Team Blast ready to go.
Yeah, and
as load you back up.
As dumb as the Team Rose one was, they also like gave you level ups with the robots that blew up around it. So it might have looked dumb, but it did help you out gameplay wise.
Yes, absolutely. Now, funny thing, I have forgotten most of this show.
Okay.
Because that's how it went. I did a live stream on it, so I will remember it as we go, but I didn't write down any notes because I did the live stream, which I'm glad I did because that was a great little holdover for waiting this long for this to come out.
And speaking of which, I did watch the Monday Night Raw after Extreme Rules, so the more we get into the show, I can fill in some blanks as far as what they're going to be doing next.
Please do, because I cannot wait to recycle yet another bit that we've done.
Tell me your insider information, JoshAgeddon.
Yes, except I will add my own spins to it. That will be both funny and ignorant.
Also, I have a little bit of a surprise for you.
What's that?
I started recording just as you called me, so we've been recording for like 3 minutes now.
Of course we are. Because the kind of violation of privacy.
Yes.
You know, that's illegal, sir. That's against the law.
What? You have violated the law.
Are you holding a wire?
Welcome to...
You're not even wearing it. You're just holding it.
Yeah. Welcome to our Extreme Rules review, where the first 3 minutes are us talking about Sonic Heroes.
Wow. Well, love it. You gotta love it. And Extreme Rules. So what podcast is this? Yours?
For now, until you start yours.
All right. Well, do you want to introduce the people at least?
Well, I'm doing the thing where like we do this for a couple minutes, then I hard cut to the intro, and then we start. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Totally Awesome Podcast. My name's JoshAgeddon. This is the worst podcast ever. It's so bad it'll make you tap out. And I'm joined by your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty.
Yeah, the podcast's so bad it'll make you tap out. And right now I've got coffee in my mug.
Well, considering the show that we're talking about, it might be so bad that it makes you pass out with a smile on your face.
Oh my god. We'll get into that. Don't worry.
And also, this podcast is sponsored by ramen and milk, because that's my supper for right now.
I bet. And while you're eating, let's bring the court-martial podcasters into this, because, folks, this is a simulcast.
You hear that? You hear that?
That's how it always goes.
That's what good pussy sounds like.
And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the court-martial podcast. Immediate demonetization, but I do not care because that was so goddamn golden. I would not be upset about that. I am your Colonial champion, Sean McCarty. This is half of a simulcast with TAW Gaming's JoshAgeddon. It's Extreme Rules 2022 review. This is going to be a barn burner of a podcast, I can already tell, because JoshAgeddon, you and I have quite a history of reviewing pay-per-views, or excuse me, premium live events of WWE's. How long have we been doing this now? 5 years?
Something like that. My noodles are hot, by the way.
He's eating noodles.
Mm-hmm.
His podcast is sponsored by noodle packages, of which we shall not speak anymore, because we are not being sponsored by them. You want to know what the Core Motion podcast is being sponsored by? Stay tuned. It's coming up. But we're not here alone, are we, Josh, again?
Oh, yeah, that's right. We have a return of a gimmick today.
That's right. And you know what? If I feel like I want to bother, then there might be a new intro for this, but if not, then it's probably just going to be JoshAgeddon with Skyler's face on it.
It's time for
Skyler Greenberg.
Notes of the Week. It's time for his Notes of the Week. Oh, yeah.
General Note Sky has made his return, and he has given some notes to both of us in regards to Extreme Rules. Skyler, I am glad to report our co-host in crime, the Bay Area Brawler, is going to be returning next week. As we have waited such a long time. He had a great vacation. He is refreshed, renewed. He has not signed anybody to NWL from Europe, but that is okay, because he will get to tell you all about it and about Antonio Inoki next week. And then the week after that, we will be doing ACPW and NWL. So stay tuned for all the great CMP action. Skyler's return coming up next week. But until then,
Sean,
we've got a gimmick, Skyler.
Sean, I want you to do me a favor. When Skyler comes back next week, I want you to look at him real closely and tell me if in the back of the head there's an indentation of a hockey puck.
I will definitely see what I can do. I will shoot I will magnify, I'll send him a magnifying glass, and then he'll look at it, and then he'll turn around with the back of his head, and it will send a transatlantic message up and over the Atlantic Ocean, past me into London. They'll get it, and then send it back across the Atlantic Ocean to me, and then I'll be able to know whether he has an indent in the back of his head. So, if you want me to go through all of that, then I will do that.
Then like, comment, and subscribe.
That's right. You know, the only way you'll know whether I went through all of that bullshit is to like, share, and subscribe. And so why don't we, before we get to the show, let's talk about Skyler's intro, which I believe he gave to you.
Yes.
Sir.
Introduction.
I read this, by the way. I'm reading this live, real time.
Oh, yeah, me too. And he said that he went back and edited a little bit of it, which, one, don't do that. We need the authentic Skyler Greenberg screw-ups. That's what gives us life. That's what brings in the viewers.
Organic.
Yes. So, introduction. Joshua, in parentheses. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, and every gender in the rainbow that may or may not exist. It is Skyler Greenberg. I added that one part in. The Bay Area Brawler.
You sure did.
Exactly. Because unlike a lot of the internet, I live on a planet called Earth. Yeah, there are two people reviewing this show, like the two genders that exist. The Bay Area Brawler, checking in.
If you're still watching, thank you for being here.
Checking in from my vacation. I am currently sitting in London Heathrow Airport, returning home from Europe. I am currently on a, checks notes, 7.5 hour layover waiting for my plane to be ready to take me home. For fuck's sake, I am tired, beat up, and just want to return home. I feel that. So while I wait to get on a plane and fly for a 10.5 hour flight, kill me, I decided to cure my boredom by watching WWE Extreme Rules 2022 edition in the hopes that it would be boring enough to put me to sleep. Given how last year's Extreme Rules went, oh god, that show was just... Shudders at Finn Balor breaking the top rope. I am not optimistic.
No, ow, pain,
I am not optimistic. Even with a change of who is booking the show, it will be any better. It also does not help that we are in Philadelphia, where I have made known my absolute love of the city over the years. But enough about this preamble. Again, it's hilarious that he calls this the preamble. This is the freaking Constitution of the court-martial states of America.
He's writing a full-fledged Skyler Greenberg legal document.
Yeah.
He edited this with word checking, spelling, and grammar.
This is a subpoena.
This is a tome.
This is an NDA.
Well, let's hope not. Let's hope it doesn't get that extreme. More extreme than anything we saw at Extreme Rules.
At least this show only has 6 matches and is 3 hours and 11 minutes long instead of the 2,589 match, 43-day long show card that we've gotten in AEW book this show. Fuck Tony Khan, 1. Alright, that's it for the intro.
That's going to be a theme, I suspect.
Yeah.
Fuck Tony Khan counter.
He deserves it.
Now that we've got Skyler's introduction, let's talk about the overview of the show. Why don't you go first, sir? Extreme Rules 2022, your thoughts?
Well, from what he mentioned last year's show, it was better than last year's show. But that's a very, very low bar.
Faint praise.
Very faint praise. I thought the show was okay. I didn't think it was great. This show's actually gotten a lot of praise online from a bunch of different people. I thought it was fine. It's definitely the weakest Triple H pay-per-view thus far.
Yes.
But, the main positives were it was short, and there was one thing that was offensively bad. Considering the company we're talking about, that's kind of amazing, but it was alright. It was alright.
My problem with this whole pay-per-view, I think, is just fundamentally, I hate the concept of Extreme Rules. It's another one of those pay-per-views I wish they had just did away with, and the primary reason being welcome to Extreme Rules, and it was not extreme, and there were no rules.
Mm-hmm.
Literally in any match. It was all gimmick matches, and albeit they were different gimmick matches,
yeah.
Man, but I don't care, because they did a lot of repeat spots. That was a big problem all night. There was a lot of recycling.
Sean,
that I wish they did,
Sean,
you know?
Can you give me a hockey fight?
Oh my God. Okay, I understand. You're in Philadelphia. You got the Flyers guy there, and hockey season starting. But for fuck's sake,
there were so many hockey fights on this show.
It was unreal, and the only one that looked good was in the third match.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it.
All right, Sean. We do a collar and elbow counter. We need to do a hockey fight counter as well.
Yeah, there was no collar and elbow counter tonight, and which went without saying for the nature of the show.
Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Surprise. All of these stipulation matches with no disqualification, none of them started with a collar and elbow tie-up. Who'd have thought?
I don't remember I can't remember the last time I saw a show where the second half of the show there were no pinfalls at all.
Well, and you know, it's an interesting thing because I'm sure Triple H has heard the criticism that there's been in years past where people are like, well, how come there are regular matches at Extreme Rules? So, like, to his credit, he's trying to be like, well, here's a lot of gimmick matches, huh?
To the idiots saying that, there's a reason why they've been doing that, because too many gimmick matches will just make you numb to the show.
It's just, I wish that they would, if they're going to do something like this, have this be an episode of Raw.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would rather, or better yet, not have this or do this once a year, but the rest of the year have actual like quality singles matches of consequence. I just want a couple quality singles matches on a premium live event stage. There's reason that you can't spell please without PLE. Premium live event. Did you see what I did there? I feel like BoJack Horseman. We're like full blown explaining the joke before anyone can laugh at it.
Explaining the joke mid-delivery.
Yes. That's very BoJack Horseman, actually. but in any case,
the future voice of Sweet Tooth.
But the whole exactly. But the point is, it's like I didn't love the show just because this show is not made for me. This show is made for Smarks. And obviously this is the podcast made by Smarks for Smarks. I understand that. But like, it's not my format. It's not my kind of style.
And another thing,
people really like this. For those people who like this kind of thing those people like. I'm not knocking them. I'm not knocking the style because it was done for the most part well by well-trained professionals.
It's just not your cup of tea.
Yeah, it was not my flavor. That's not to say that what they didn't do was safe, and in some cases looked devastating. But a lot of this show went very predictably just by the nature of what the gimmicks were.
And another thing, the return at the end of the show completely overshadowed everything else on the show.
And also, I thought fell a little flat, and I'll explain that later.
I kind of agree, and I have my own criticisms of that. I mean, I didn't think it was awful, but I would have done it a little bit differently.
Yeah, there's just a few things that I would have, but I will say, like, the thing with the live stream was that was kind of what I was waiting for all night. I know you heard the live stream. If you want to check out the live stream, I did live stream reaction to Extreme Rules 2022. It is on the channel, folks. It is the most recent video that has been uploaded on the Court Martial podcast, so feel free to take a glance at that. And by all means, please put Extreme Rules on, and then we can watch it together. But in any case, in that, it was just a situation where, especially this first match, and it was kind of a progression over the night. There was anticipation of like, when's he gonna show up, and against who? And they did the little tease that they did where like they did the video game like the 8-bit rabbit as these guys were making the entrance and completely cut out the show entirely. Which, again, I like it. I like that idea.
Even though it looks just like CIW taking over TAW?
Well, except I would like to think that CIW did a bit of a better job than WWE did.
Yeah.
Because my graphics are better than that was. Mine were 8-bit like that, sir. There was no need for the pot shot. But in any case...
We need an 8-bit CIW logo stat.
Yeah, well, the logo basically is an 8-bit CIW logo. At least the 3 letters are. But anyway, we're getting off track here. But I like that. But it was kind of like okay, when's he going to show up? And you heard it in the main event. He was really starting to take over what was arguably a pretty decent match. But people wanted what had been teased. And how they did it, I don't know. It was...
We'll get to it.
But let's start out with this first match. The good old-fashioned Donnybrook match featuring the Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. Which is, of course, Giovanni Vinci, Ludwig Kaiser, and Gunther, or as he's now known, Gunther! Because it's all capitals.
Gunther!
BoJack.
His name is Gutentag.
Yeah, if only. Good day, sir. Slap. And they're still not calling Pete Dunne. And boy, would I love them to. Because what is there to lose at this point? He even got to shine against Walter for a second. Just let him be Pete Dunne. And of course, Dickbag Mick Dangerous.
Yeah, Sean's favorite wrestler in WWE. Dream Killer.
That's Rich Holland, for those of you who don't know. And by the way, all of his stuff looks really bad.
Yeah. At least he didn't horribly disfigure anyone in this match.
Yes. Although there were a couple times when I was like...
Yeah.
He was, every time I see him, like, I literally get nervous.
Hey! Think about it this way. As bad as he is and how you're constantly worried that he's going to kill someone, at least it puts you on the edge of your seat in a way.
Yeah, but that's not the way I want to be on the edge of my seat.
True.
I don't want to be who's going to have their career ended tonight.
Yeah.
That's not the way that I want. You know, this isn't Kevin Nash powerbombing the Big Show in WCW in '98 on his neck, almost literally, and like actually broke his neck.
Who's gonna get belly to belly suplexed right on their forehead?
That's right. Who's getting the spear that is gonna knock Goldberg silly? So, Donnybrook, speaking of actual fighters, what did you think of this 6-man debauchery?
I thought it was a decent match marred by a goofy gimmick, and then it went too long.
Yeah, I mean that's a good summation. You're like the SparkNotes version.
Yeah.
My like treatment version is that these guys had the exact match you'd think they'd have.
Yeah. It was the most AEW feeling that this show got.
Yeah, and you know, it wasn't even necessarily like all the spots didn't have purpose or meaning like in AEW.
Yeah.
There was definitely reason for each move and there was progression to it, but there was a lot of you were going to be limited in a 6-man tag because you had to get everybody in on something. And this was the opening match, and they did a lot.
Yeah.
They did a lot. And, you know, and what I said, and you could actually check this on the live stream, I said before the show started, here's how the match is going to go. They're all going to fight each other at the same time. They're going to break apart. Gunther and Sheamus are going to be the only ones left in the ring. They're going to have them do their shit. They're going to come back, do a bunch of Marge stuff, finisher, bunch of kickouts, and then the babyface team is going to win by pinning a schlub.
Yep. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened.
and I think that kind of hurt it for me. And before we go any further, I don't know what I know you, Josh again. Look at me, look at my eyes, yo, Josh again,
yo.
I know you felt blood boiling rage in your ballsticles the same way I did at the beginning of this match.
The camera cuts
would not stop.
God.
They missed so much.
Yes. Was this the match where they just pointed to a woman at the crowd who just was not interested?
This just did not get
Or was that the Ronda Rousey match?
Yes. No, I think there was a couple times that happened with them, but it was only for a half a second.
God.
And that actually brings up a point. I was going to bring it up later, but I'll bring it up now. There's nothing that's going to really help redefine and change what WWE is and looks like until they get rid of Kevin Dunn and his formatting style.
I know. They need to put up like seizure or epilepsy warnings whenever the show starts because of those rapid fire machine gun camera cuts.
Dude, it was noticeably bad at the beginning of this. They didn't know which end was up. Up was east, black was white. It's absolutely ridiculous how this guy has been employed for 40 years and he cannot get it. He just cannot get it.
I mean, he can't see the buttons because his teeth are in the way. So you gotta feel for him a little bit.
Literally, hey, listen. If I had my entire face used as an airplane hangar repeatedly, because it looks like a tarmac, you know, if you hit the moon hits the just right, and you know, you just like, yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to land on this.
That dude could decapitate Wolverine.
Yeah. Hey. Why does it take more than one Kevin Dunn to screw in a light bulb? Anyone?
Why, Sean?
Nobody's here. Because he's so darn stupid.
Oh,
thank you, Nickelodeon. We'll see you in court.
yeah.
But back to this match.
Also, by the way, did you notice that picture that was on that bar stool? That was just a photoshopped Sheamus, and they said that's Sheamus' grandfather?
Yes,
That was so hokey.
funny, actually.
That was
Yes,
so
there were
dumb.
moments in this match. Don't get me wrong. This was a fun crowd pleaser to open up the show. It satisfied its purpose, right? For what it's worth, it was fun. The crowd was into it. I mean, love or hate Philly, because they cheered some stupid stuff, but they were active all night. Well, I shouldn't say that because it wasn't always the case, but in this matchup, they were pretty much all in for all 6 of these guys.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And it's just, I love everything Gunther does is spectacular, but you had to know that he was not going to be involved in the pinfall equation here.
His chops are just a thing of beauty.
Immaculate.
And those machine gun chops are the only machine gun chops that I've ever seen that actually looked effective and not goofy.
That is how you do it. I 100% agree. I 100% agree. He's the only one allowed to do that now.
I know that you love Eddie Kingston, but whenever Eddie Kingston does it, it makes me cringe.
They look like shit. They look like total shit. I completely agree.
Yeah.
I like Eddie Kingston. Well, I liked Eddie Kingston a lot. I mean, I don't watch enough AEW now to really be able to say what they're doing them, but you can't enjoy anybody on AEW because Tony Khan ruins literally everybody with his nonsensical booking.
True.
And I'll add a counter to Skyler's fuck Tony Khan counter, so we're up to 2.
Mm-hmm. Made that 3 because I joined that.
All right, well, here we go, Tony. It's going to be a long night for you, son.
You're getting triple team, Tony Khan. Open wide.
Yeah, it's open your mouth, baby.
I'm already slurping some noodles. I've got room for more.
That's okay. You just keep licking that broth, bro. And so, I mean, it was fine. It was fine for what it was. It was a 6-man tag that got people invested in a whole bunch of spots. I don't know whether this it didn't hurt anybody. Sheamus needed the win somehow. You know, I don't see, this was, as far as I'm concerned, was at least pretty decently thought out. It wasn't the most egregious use of weapons on the night. A lot of it really was just fisticuffs, which I do appreciate. But
by the way, did you notice that when I think it was someone who broke the shillelagh over Sheamus's back, that the part of the shillelagh that broke off hit a cameraman?
No, I did not know that.
That was kind of funny. It made me think of the Money in the Bank ladder match where Brock Lesnar cashed in Money in the Bank on the Money in the Bank ladder match, knocked over a ladder into a cameraman.
Yep.
Except this cameraman didn't, die.
Yeah, that's a plus.
Yeah.
That's a plus, but they're not naming cameramen yet, so until they do, get out of the way. I don't mean to sound unsympathetic, but you got a whole bunch of beefy boys, and that's another thing. Ludwig Kaiser is crazy cut.
He is such a good henchman.
He is everything that he does. I am really, really high on my pen and Ludwig Kaiser.
Agreed.
And it is really everything he does. I'm impressed with it. And Giovanni Vinci too. I got to give him props. He blends very well with this group. These are a group of individuals who look the part. They work very well from what I've seen.
Just the way whenever he talks, the way he looks down, like he looks up but his eyes are down and his chin is jutting out. It's just so sleazy and perfect.
Oh, it's great. They are literally, and it's difficult too because you can't properly have a foreign heel, like a foreign menace heel anymore because of stereotypes and anger and.
It's culturally insensitive.
If that's your truth, then that is the truth.
Meanwhile, we'll have a Donnybrook match with stereotypical Scottish and Irish weapons at ringside and memorabilia.
Yeah, I mean...
But it's okay, because Irish people are white.
Yeah, I mean... I don't know if we're ready for that conversation, Josh.
I don't think we are.
I don't think we're ready for that. Let's pass it off to Skyler and see what Skyler has to say about this match, shall we?
All right.
Here we go. All right. Good old-fashioned Donnybrook match. The Brawling Brutes versus Imperium. Parentheses, Sean. End parentheses. Coming off the back of a Match of the Year contender at Clash and a damn good match on SmackDown, I became concerned that Gunther and Sheamus had peaked. But I will try to be optimistic about this match despite already knowing what is going to happen. See?
Mm-hmm. We've seen this so much of this stuff, we can call some of this from a mile away.
Well, that's my biggest critique of this match. Is yes, it was a fun crowd pleaser, but it was a WWE brand 6-man tag match.
You could predict most of the stuff on this show.
Yeah. And that was my big problem. And it also kind of added to the idea, before I continue with Skyler's stuff, is that it's not the talent that needs to change, it's the format that has to change.
Agreed.
And this is a great demonstration of that. Because until you fundamentally change how you present these matches, they are always going to feel like what you've always done.
I mean, they've been sticking with the same format for decades. It's stale.
Yeah. And, I mean, these things take time. I understand. You know, I get it. You know, you're under a lot of stress. You come out of DX, you know, nobody cares, but you got it because your heart went almost poopity poop. And I understand that. You know, but, you know.
That was painful to listen to.
It takes time. Well, there's. Well, speaking of painful to listen to, here's Skyler's Forever.
Skyler's like, I know people that talk like that. That's offensive. So much cultural insensitivity on this podcast.
Seriously, we're going brick house here. Somebody called Funkadelic. It did not help my mood seeing the silly props like the bar or the stereotypical barrels around ringside. Yeah, that pretty much screamed WWE format, didn't it?
It was very goofy.
Michael Cole's streak of yelling out one catchphrase per show as loudly as he can continues with "It's fight night," and he's not wrong.
Yeah.
But he has done this lately. Imagine if you fused Michael Cole and Booker T into one commentary catchphrase monster.
Oh
In
no.
all caps. That's vintage boss night, shucky tucky quack quack.
That is so accurate.
That's good. That's good, Skyler.
It's funny because it's true.
It is. It is. Huh, White Rabbit, I wonder what that means. Gunther's theme screams boss music, and I am here for him being the final boss after Roman Reigns. Agreed. Every member of Imperium is so ripped, especially Ludwig Kaiser. His chesticles definitely frothed some loins here in the Court Martial and TAW Gaming.
Accurate.
I hope they all get gold at some point because their matches would be millions of times better than the Usos. Agreed.
Yep.
Triple H steel step counter 1. I'm afraid there might be more. Oh wait, yes, there's a bunch.
It's a Triple H show. Of course there's going to be 8 quintillion of them.
LOL, Pete Dunne did the axe handle from the steel steps on Da Vinci and they broke the barricade. Come on, WWE, is your prop department so cheap you can't afford decent barricades? Yeah, the barricade spot was supposed to happen later.
Yeah.
And it did happen later. And no one really cared.
Because I've seen 8,000 of them.
It has to happen every show.
This month.
We had an obligatory table spot twice on this show.
We had an obligatory table spot in the opening match.
Yep. Yeah. It did indeed happen. The parts that were contrived, like the 1-2 and the coordinated beat up or sit down or pick each other up spots, are lame. Yet they do cool stuff occasionally, so I can forgive them. Also, that's not a sentence. Also, when Sheamus and Gunther punch you or chop you, it hurts AF, so I will allow the 1-2, parentheses, no punctuation. At least they were not hockey fights, end parentheses. Still no punctuation.
Just you wait, Skyler. Just you wait.
The moonsault from the barrels was cool, I guess, which I thought was cool. That was neat. If you ignored the part where everyone was sitting and waiting to be splashed on by Pete Dunne, yeah.
At least they didn't, show them just standing there. The camera was trying to avoid them and just focus on Pete Dunne.
It wasn't as bad as I think as others have done it. I thought that it was better than others do it.
Yeah.
As far as looking like they were still selling and staggering, even though we all knew that's what they were doing. They were at least trying.
Yeah.
You know? While this was a fight with a lot of weapons, what helped the match was that everything was kept quick, which is true. There was a good pace. It kept flowing, and most importantly, it stayed reasonable. While I did not love this match as much as the other matches Sheamus and Gunther have had, I'm not upset at it. And I think that's a good summation of what happened here. So, are you ready? Do you have any additional information to provide us, Josh, again?
No, because I haven't seen SmackDown yet, because SmackDown hasn't smacked down yet.
That's right. At least at the time of recording. By the time you hear this, it probably has, and we just don't know about it. So. And
Sean Skyler has a blurb about the Philadelphia hockey mascot thing.
Right here, because I sports and you do not.
Yeah.
All right. Just be honest with yourself. You are not sports.
I was so confused. I had no idea what was going. So basically, after the first match, The Miz was being annoying on the phone, and then this bipedal woolly mammoth walked up to him And it was a thing that I didn't understand because I don't watch sports.
It was the Flyers guy who's the thingy-maboop in the hockey, right?
Yeah.
And he's the mascot for the Philadelphia Flyers, and all the hockey fans were like, yay! And The Miz, they did this thing where what was it, a photo? That they were like an autograph or something?
It was a shirt. It was a shirt.
It was a shirt that Miz just like stomped on and was like, I'm The Miz, I've got a birthday. And which was the whole point of the argument, which I don't get. But then it recurs throughout the night where Miz,
unfortunately,
back and forth between the Flyers mascot and The Miz. And here's my question that JoshAgeddon is not going to have any opinion on. The Philadelphia Phillies are in the playoffs in baseball as we speak. You couldn't have gotten that little honkadoo mascot to come out while the Phillies in the playoffs I don't know, because hockey season is just starting. So I understand you're trying to hype people about that, but your baseball team is in the playoffs.
Sean, it's funny that you say that because guess what one of Miz's birthday presents was on Raw?
Was it the Phillies mascot?
No, it was a baseball bat signed by whatever team to defend himself against Dexter Loomis.
Oh, great.
And on the next episode of Monday Night Raw, they're finally going to have The Miz versus Dexter Loomis in a match. If The Miz wins, then Dexter is just gone from the company. But if Dexter wins, he gets a contract.
If Dexter wins, he gets to keep Miz.
Yeah. Oh, he gets to marry Maurice.
He just gets to take him away, and then whenever we see Miz is when we see Miz. When he escapes.
He gets to keep The Miz, and he gets to mount Maurice's head on a pike.
That's right.
Remember that from over a year ago.
That part in the contract. That just might happen as a result of taking Miz. But this is what Skyler says. As a hockey fan seeing Gritty, the Philadelphia Flyers mascot of the National Hockey League of the United States of America. Joshua, don't say shit.
Shit.
Oh, you done did it now. Messing with Miz all night tickled me. The backstage segments were silly, stupid all night, but the payoff to Miz beating up Gritty before Dexter Loomis sleeps Miz and Gritty gets one kick in on Miz was gold, and you cannot tell me otherwise, Joshua. I will. It sucked.
It was stupid.
It was dumb.
2-1, 2-1, Skyler.
Don't be sucked into shtick. But I know Joshua only enjoys pro wrestling, sucking Andy's toes and drinking Monster Energy until it leaks out of holes you did not know existed on the human body.
That is not true. Andy hates feet. Don't ask how I know this.
You would be the only person who I would suspect would know this, except for her herself.
And we don't refer to them as toes, we refer to them as tootsies. So, continue.
I don't know if I want to. I don't know if I want to continue. Why don't you, Mr. I'm doing a podcast at the same time and recording without somebody's notice, tell us what happened on what's the next match here? Stein, Brenner, Hal, baseball.
I don't understand any of that. The next match was the worst thing on the show. Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan for the SmackDown Women's Championship in an Extreme Rules match. Sean,
where to begin?
Why do we like pro wrestling?
Not for this. I'll tell you
Not for this was hot flaming garbage.
This was the match I expected them to have at SummerSlam. I just got sucked into them actually Triple H putting in a lot more extra effort in that show. And this one, where to start?
Literally the only good thing about this match was the fact that Liv Morgan's not champion anymore. But even then, she has devalued the SmackDown Women's belt so much
pretty bad
that they might as well just throw it away.
But at this point, the only person Liv Morgan is the only person that I can get to actively want Ronda Rousey to be women's champion.
I know, same.
Which is saying something. Because her run has been such a goddamn disaster that and the people were behind her, but you can't.
Why? I will never.
I don't get it.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. There are two types of people that love Liv Morgan. Incels and little girls who probably shouldn't be watching wrestling. That's it.
From the time that they were little girls, which is now.
It's always been my dream to be a wrestler. And I'm going to say what I said in our group chat. Sometimes your dreams just shouldn't come true.
Yeah.
Well, Liv Morgan. Okay, real quick. I'm going into Liv Morgan rant mode.
I will give you the floor.
Ridge Holland is your least favorite act in WWE. Liv Morgan is my least favorite act. Because, I mean, as much as I don't like Ronda Rousey, at least I can feasibly believe that she could hurt someone.
Well, to be fair, before you continue, to be fair, Ronda Rousey as a heel is a lot more palatable than Ronda Rousey as a baby.
Exactly, because Ronda's naturally unlikable.
The fact she's no longer smiling coming down to the ring is a huge plus.
Mm-hmm.
Because now she looks like an MMA fighter badass that wants to kick your ass. So unfortunately, she's bad at it.
Yeah.
But that's a different story altogether. At least her presentation is better.
Yes, because she's an unlikable heel in real life. So.
Yes.
But at least I can buy that she could hurt someone. Liv Morgan, I guarantee you Liv Morgan cannot win a fight with any human being that was in the arena that night.
Much less Ronda Rousey.
Riho could kick Liv Morgan's ass in real life.
Yeah.
Liv Morgan does not look like a wrestler. She looks like a Twitch girl. She has the personality of Alinity. Do you even know who that is, Sean?
Alinity?
Yes. She was a streamer who scammed guys into giving her money, and then she got in trouble for abusing animals.
I was like, I know the name. I'm like, I was going through my Rolodex of brainwaves, and thank you for rejogging my memory. Yes. I remember that. What a time.
That is Liv Morgan. She looks like an e-girl who's trying to dupe men into giving them buckets. She looks like she sells Gamer Girl bathwater. That is Liv Morgan. She is not a wrestler.
Given the way this match ended, she just might.
Yeah. Yeah, that might not be bathwater. That might be something else.
Well, let's backtrack here. We're skipping a lot, right?
Yeah. She's the worst.
Ronda Rousey gets in the ring, and I do have to say this too. For as much as I loathe Ronda Rousey, I do admit that it is a really good troll to have bad reputation by Joan Jett as her theme. Mm-hmm. Because she knows that she is a complete turd hole.
Yes.
And that is a perfect song for someone who knows that they're a complete turd hole. And so it works for her.
I would hate to live in a world where Ronda Rousey is not aware that she's a piece of shit.
Yeah. No, and at least that's been made more prevalent in recent weeks. Although I wish that in some of these promos Ronda was doing, she looked like she wanted to be there. She looks uninterested.
Because
like the build up, if you watch the package leading up to that, she looked bored.
Mm-hmm. Because there's a reason for that, Sean. Because Ronda and acting ability go together just about as well as you in triple threat matches.
Yeah, yes, just ask NetherRealm Studios.
Yeah. And also, speaking of that hype package, the whole Liv Morgan beating up Lacey Evans by splashing through the table while the cameraman was zooming in on her asshole, that was so lame. Because, like, the whole, I'm hardcore now. The kind of hardcore stuff that you'd be good at, Liv Morgan, is not something that would be on TV PG programming.
Well, Liv Morgan brings a bat to the ring. And we're going to talk about this bat here in a second.
Yes, we will.
If Liv Morgan adored bat, and God bless Corey Graves, but boy, did you look like a total idiot during this matchup. So,
wait. Before we get into this match, real quick, I do want to touch on the fact that Triple H has answered a lot of our prayers. Once again, thank you, Based H. He's shaken up the commentary teams on WWE. No more three-man booths.
Thank God.
Thank God. I don't like Corey Graves. And I'm not super crazy about Michael Cole, but at least it's just two of them.
Corey Graves on his own is not as bad as Corey Graves anywhere in the same building as Byron Saxton.
Yes. And on Raw, the commentary team is Corey Graves and Kevin Patrick, who...
You know what?
He's fine.
They should have a two-man booth of Corey Graves and Byron Saxton.
Uh,
Just the two of them. No, because here's why. Because Corey wouldn't be able to just completely berate the guy who's calling the plays. He'd have to hold back a bit. It'd be interesting. I'd want to see just one show where it's just the two of them on commentary.
That would honestly be a little entertaining. And
I'd be fascinated.
on SmackDown, the commentary team.
Mutual attraction would finally come together because they're never sitting next to each other.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that those two are never sitting next to each other? It's because their insatiable love lust would just completely meld them together. So if we put them in the two-man booth, Carmella ends up getting ousted.
Yeah, let's do it like just a full-on porno premium live event where the first thing is Liv Morgan getting choked out by someone, and then the next thing is just Corey Graves and Byron Saxton screaming those sweet nothings into each other's ears. But yeah, and the SmackDown announce team until Pat McAfee comes back is Michael Cole and Wade Barrett.
That's right. Yes, they'll be on it. They'll be better.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see because wasn't it Wade? No, it might have been McGuinness. I can't remember exactly, but Michael Cole in one of the NXT UK tournaments or one of the pay-per-view shows, I can't remember which. Michael Cole was on commentary with, I think it was Wade Barrett, but it might have been Nigel McGuinness, and it was some quality stuff. I think that Wade Barrett could easily get some good out of Michael Cole.
I agree, but I do think it was Nigel McGuinness. Because,
I do as well.
Because Wade Barrett was still kind of a wrestler at that point. I don't even know if he was in the company at that point.
He was in Defiant Wrestling.
Something I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, and neither has the majority of people who are not smarks on the internet.
Even smarks are like, what?
Sure. Don't you challenge me, I tell you what. Well, let's talk about this match.
Do we have to?
Because I wish we didn't. So, it starts out with a whole lot of nothing. Some back and forth, Ronda kind of toying with Liv. It doesn't really get ever hardcore. It's just Liv tries to get the bat, and then Ronda gets it away from her and then starts hitting her with the bat. And it didn't go thoink thoink, but it might as well have. Because Liv gets into the ring. Now, then they get into, the stairs, and then I don't know why they tried this spot twice on this show. Please explain to me why this had to be done twice in consecutive matches. No less.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
When Ronda brings Liv over to the corner, where the steps are, and goes to try to wedge Liv on the ropes. She takes her judo belt and ties her to the ring post when there's a strap match next. Yeah, ties her to that, and then hits her with this black bat that Liv Morgan brought in. Thunk, 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 and then finally Liv crawls in, and Ronda in with the camera right there goes, "Hey, this bat seems a little light," and throws it in, and then fucking Kevin Dunn, fucking dumb shit. Yeah. Zooms in on the baseball bat. Yep. And it is unbelievably obvious that this is a wiffle ball bat. Do not play baseball with this bat. Please no, you will get hurt. Unless it's a plastic baseball. But wait, it gets better, because not only was it not you can get a plastic baseball bat, too. It was a wiffle ball bat, which is distinctly a different shape. But here's the best part. Within seconds after Kevin Dunn zooming in on the bat, Corey Graves goes, "She could have broken ribs." If her ribs were made out of glass, maybe. Yeah, she was born with glass bones and paper skin. Every morning she breaks her arms, and every night she breaks Bro, I was thinking about Mr. Glass from Unbreakable, but that's such a better reference. Yeah. Liv Morgan is a shifty salesman trying to sell chocolate bars. This was bad. And then it got worse. It got so much worse. They set up the table, because the table was the most over thing all night. Real quick.
Okay, people, it's not even just Liv Morgan. People, I've seen this happen too many times. If you're trying to slide the table into the ring, do it upside down so the legs don't get stuck in the apron.
Oh, we forgot about the apron spot.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Sean, it'll be okay. But this happens so often. When they put the table in, they push the table in, and the leg always gets stuck on the apron because they forget to close it, and the leg keeps coming back down. Just put the table upside down, then shove it in, or you're gonna look like a moron, like Liv Morgan does when she does anything.
Joshua, I'm crying. We forgot about the apron spot.
Yeah.
They tried to lift the apron, and Liv slid in, and the whole apron just fell.
Yep.
And she just crawled into it like a cocoon.
Yep. And then she tried to shoot Ronda with the fire extinguisher, but the apron was covering the fire extinguisher. You fucking idiot.
She was still underneath, completely tucked in, and then she tucked herself back in. Oh my God, damn. I forget that.
And then they did that same spot later on in the show.
That's the funniest thing. And that's it. That was also recycled.
Yup.
Show, man, it's funny just looking back at it, and that was so crucial to how bad this match was. And then with the wiffle ball bat, Ronda breaking the illusion there was a wiffle ball bat, and then they set up the table in the corner.
Well, they set up a chair in the corner.
All match.
Well,
And then. Well, I'm sorry. What were you saying?
I was thinking about when Liv Morgan tried to set up a chair in the corner and she didn't set it up correctly, and then it fell the next time they took a bump, and they both just sat there and paused. They sat there and paused, and you could just hear their brains go, "Oh shit, that was our next spot. What do we do now?" And they just sat there. It felt like they sat there for hours.
And then they've got the table leaned up on the other side of the ring. And then Liv, after having it angled up there like they were going to do something into it, just takes it and sets it up normally.
Yep.
Okay, we're going to do that. And then they do the table spot. I forget what the table spot was.
It was like a senton or a splash.
Yeah, they did something into that, and then Ronda just no-sells it by getting Liv in that leg scissors. And this is getting into the finish. But then this just becomes a knotted mess for 90 seconds.
Yes, she has her in a triangle, and Liv Morgan is trying to do the Bob Backlund lift, but she's Liv Morgan, and the worst part is you can see Ronda Rousey trying to help her by pushing off the table with her left arm.
Oh my God.
And Liv can't get Ronda Rousey all the way up because she's not a power lifter. She's Liv Morgan, and it just looks awful.
Yeah. And, oh wait, but then the finish.
And then Liv finished.
Wait, let me rephrase that. And then she finished.
Yeah.
Because, folks, and you can go back and watch the tape, it is on camera. Liv Morgan looks like she just explooshed herself.
I hope they mopped that ring before the next match.
Literally, though, it was the most demented smile, and I don't think a heel turn is going to do anything for her at all, but let's not get into that talk right now. But she smiles, passes out, still smiling, referee calls for the bell. I don't know what that was supposed to accomplish other than Liv Morgan is a fetishist? Question mark?
Bro, on this show, we have Liv Morgan who likes getting choked unconscious, and Dominic Mysterio is the sub to Rhea Ripley's Dom. Some weird sexual shit in this company all of a sudden.
Yeah, you're worried about a goddamn rainbow, bro? Goddamn weak, bro. There's actual things happening on this show, and you're worried about a flag? Fuck out of here.
I can't wait till Liv Morgan comes out as they, them.
But don't give them ideas. They might just do that. We've seen WWE pandering before.
Oh, it'll be Shotzi doing that. My bad. It'll be Shotzi doing that.
To be fair, I don't think Triple H would go down that road. Better not even approach it rather than make a statement about it.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
Just leave it
alone.
Yeah. Leave it to themselves.
This
What
was
did Skyler have to say?
this was such horseshit. It was so bad.
This match was terrible. Ronda's champion. I can't believe I'm happy for that, but the only reason I'm happy for that is that Liv is no longer champion, which means Ronda can have matches against good wrestlers that might be a little bit decent, as opposed to Liv Morgan knowingly guaranteed not having any at all with any.
Oh, and just to make everything complete, during this match, Liv Morgan hit a code breaker, and Michael Cole called it a code red.
Just a wonderful finish to a wonderful finish.
He's been doing commentary for this company for nearing 30 years. Alright, so Skyler's notes. Extreme Rules match, SmackDown Women's Championship, Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey, Joshua. I didn't know that was her last name. In parentheses, gimmick matches tend to expose bad workers even worse than regular matches because if a wrestler cannot do the basics in-ring storytelling, psychology, correct wrestling holds, techniques, and moves, weapons will make things worse because if you cannot do the basics, then how can you expect it to do advanced things? It would be like trying to rhyme in iambic pentameter except you do not know the alphabet. Wow. As an English major, I approve.
That's good. That's good. I appreciate that.
I forgot about this. There was a Jack Swagger reference. Because that's
I
the...
don't remember that.
Because before the match started, Michael Cole said one of the first Extreme Rules matches in WWE was Jack Swagger versus Randy Orton, which is not even true. But anyway.
That's not true.
Damn it, Michael Cole.
2010 when he had the world title?
Yeah. I mean, they had an Extreme Rules match at Extreme Rules 2010, but that was not the first Extreme Rules match in this company. What kind of shit are you smoking, Michael Cole? Did you get some of Sean's happy juice?
He's, realistically speaking, he's probably just detoxing off of all the Vince McMahon shit that's been pulled into his brain for the past 30 years, and he's just coming up from a fog. What year is it?
He must be having some nightmarish withdrawal.
I know. Seriously, Triple H is like, it's okay, man. You're going to get through this. This is the hardest part. Right now is the hardest part.
Liv Morgan almost screwed up the fire extinguisher spot by spraying a bit too early, proving once again no wrestler knows how basic equipment works except for Brock Lesnar.
True.
Every weak-ass bat shot exposes the fact that they are using a wiffle ball bat instead of a real baseball bat.
True.
It is hard to tell if everything they do in this match is a botch or if it was supposed to happen. Oh, it was especially that weird foot backstabber that Liv tried to do to Ronda, and Ronda just could not even. And then they tried it again, and Ronda clumsily bounced into the ring post.
The fans could not make heads or tails of this at all.
Oh.
They were just confused. They're like, what is this?
One of the more obvious botches was the setup of the chair in the corner and it falling. So Liv tried to improve and giving Ronda a backbreaker so weak, Carlito spit his apple out and said it was not cool.
Damn.
Wow.
That's cold.
Liv Morgan swinging a chair is like my cat trying to swing her paw at me. It is so cute and does absolutely nothing.
True. Therein lies the problem, isn't it?
Yes. Liv Morgan would have won the match with the senton off the top rope through a table on Ronda if she had eaten a Big Mac for lunch for that day. If she had eaten a Big Mac for lunch.
Wow.
Jesus.
Damn.
Remember, folks, if you want to dump your hot stuff all over your mama's cream puff, your belly better be fucking swole. Wow, these notes.
What the fuck are you talking about?
The next line is laughs as Joshua and Sean have no idea what I'm referencing with that last sentence. I don't either, but it sounded funny.
You're absolutely correct. Good job.
This
Scott.
might be, in a certain frame of mind, this might have been the best thing on the show. Why is it that wrestlers suddenly enjoy jacking off while getting finished? Is this some new kink I'm not aware of? Also, can we get over the whole babyface does not tap out shit? Not every babyface needs to pass out. Listen, this match and title reign in general exposed the fact that Liv Morgan never has been, cannot be, and never will be able to be champion of the women's division unless if it was like a fluky underdog stole the victory transitional type of champion. That was the way they presented Liv Morgan this entire time, and it sucked because Liv Morgan is not a good wrestler. In an off-air conversation between me and Joshua, I made a Liv Morgan joke. Ever since I was a little girl, I wanted to be a wrestler, and Joshua said point blank, some dreams shouldn't come true. And honestly, yes, as negative as it sounds, Joshua is right. Wow. I mean, tell it, Sean. Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Don't try to speak like good wrestlers.
As for Ronda, it is good. It is good she is a heel, so when I hate her, it is because I'm supposed to hate her. But let us not pretend that she is any better in the ring because of the heel turn, because she is not. It just means we do not have to deal with the pretend smiley babyface she was. Fact is, Ronda Rousey is still the same disrespectful bitch that came over to WWE as a crossover star, disrespected other wrestlers and fans of pro wrestling, and continues to be a mockery of this business. So while it may be better that Ronda Rousey is champion over Liv Morgan, I still do not like it and will continue to ignore the SmackDown Women's division until it gets better. By the way, Ronda Rousey did an interview on her YouTube channel a couple days after the show. On the show, Ronda had pitched to use Legos, thumbtacks, or push pins in the finish to the Extreme Rules match. She wanted Liv to powerbomb her through those items, then Ronda would reverse into the armbar and smash Liv Morgan's face into those things for her to pass out for the finish. However, WWE shot her down because of three reasons. 1, legal ramifications. 2, AEW uses thumbtacks in matches, so if WWE thumbtacks use thumbtacks in matches, the WWE would be called out as a copycat. Also, fuck Tony Khan 2 for letting, 4 since I joined in, for letting wrestlers use thumbtacks.
4, because I'm the one who added one, and then you added one, so this is the 4th one.
But it is obvious that there's a 4th reason. It's fucking stupid to use thumbtacks or Legos in a pro wrestling match. Anyways, fuck Ronda Rousey. 1. So many FU counters in this.
I know.
But yeah, that was...
He's got a lot of pent-up anger that he's been having too much fun on vacation. He's like, I gotta get some of this anger out somewhere. He doesn't have the outlet like he normally does.
Bro, that hockey puck unleashed the beast.
I know, seriously. It, let Stark the Shark.
Mm.
Yeah, go San Jose Sharks.
And you've lost me.
I know. Well, don't worry. I've got a strap or a really fat rubber band that I can tie. Because this next match, oh, good God. I wanted to like this so bad.
Me too.
I wanted to like this so bad. It's Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross in a strap match. Why they're having a strap match? Because reasons.
Okay, before we get into this, I have 2 things. 1, I had a thought while I was watching and after the show went off the air. Perhaps this would have been better if this was the Extreme Rules match and Liv Morgan and Ronda Rousey maybe they had the strap match or had a different stipulation.
Yeah, at least if you choke Liv with the strap, that at least checks out for the kink, you know?
I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna say it.
Yeah, I mean, legs, that's so unoriginal.
Well, the last time someone choked someone with a rope or anything in this company, they got fired and then became the hottest thing in wrestling, so... But yeah, I do think that this match, Drew and Karrion, would have been better if it was the Extreme Rules match.
This would have been better as a normal singles match.
Or a normal singles match.
Just a regular old singles match. Why couldn't we have just gotten a match between these two on a major show, and then that led to a strap match later on when the stipulation and the story actually called for it?
Number two problem. Karrion Kross is not even 1/4 as interesting as Scarlett.
I am an incel for Scarlett.
Okay.
My God.
Not even...
Seriously, I could not stop looking at Scarlett.
She's hot. She is hot. But it's just the contrast. Is Scarlett super hot, and the contrast is the guy who's actually supposed to be the star.
But I'll tell you what, though. It's a good thing that he has her.
Yes.
Because it masks the fact that Karrion Kross is fine.
He's just so
He's fine. His work is fine. His body language is fine. His presentation is fine. His promos are okay.
Everything about him is default wrestler moveset on WWE 2K, whatever.
But here's the biggest problem I had with him.
His hair.
His fucking hair.
Yeah.
Listen, I had that kind of hair before I lost most of it because of male pattern baldness. True story. You saw it on the live stream. Literally, go see Mr. Baldy. That's me. But not the one wrestling in TAW. Or am I?
Perhapsicles.
Anyway. I'm not trying to reveal my secret identity right here. But,
I didn't hear anything you just said.
Exactly. But Karrion Kross, I made the comparison, and I know you loved it, and I'm going to do it again here. Karrion Kross reminds me a lot of Crimson. Mm-hmm. For those of you who don't know who that is, he wrestled in NWA most recently. I don't know whether he's doing anything now. I think he's just producing for them. But he wrestled in TNA for a while. They gave him a huge win streak. And he was always good, but there was always something missing.
Here's my hot take. Crimson is more talented and more interesting than Karrion Kross. Can we just switch out Karrion Kross with Crimson and have Crimson and Scarlet?
The only difference really is that one is ginger and a little bit taller.
I mean, I remember watching Crimson. I wasn't super impressed, but at least his stuff was impactful and interesting to look at. Karrion just... There's sometimes when you do basic stuff and it gets over and it's good. And then there's times where you do stuff that's so basic that it's just boring. And that's Karrion Kross.
Well, and we did something that I thought, speaking of things that are unnecessary and happen all the time formatting-wise, this is hashtag bad formatting. Did we really have to go out into the crowd?
Yep.
It was, if you had cut that entire 5 minutes of them being out in the crowd, doing the same exact loop they do every time they go on the outside, forever, it has been the exact same route, but except sometimes they start from the left, and sometimes they start from the right, but then they loop all the way around, but there's plenty of places so that the fans aren't near them, really, and they go around, they come back in, and then they finally get the strap on, and speaking of kinks, considering where Scarlet is...
Okay.
Scarlet looks like she is just one walking kink. We've got a strap on. We're ready to go and get this match started. We've been brawling on the outside, so all the fans are involved in it too. We're going to just dim the lights and start bumping meat.
All right.
Have I made you uncomfortable yet?
No, you're making me hard.
I bet.
Oh, and Sean, you want to know what the best thing about this crowd brawling loop that they do all the time? There was another one later on in the show.
It was recycled.
Yep.
It was good. They not all. It's like rinse, repeat.
They recycled apron spots. They recycled tying someone to the ring post. They recycled the crowd brawling. They were like 30 different spine busters on this show. Just.
Oh my God, the amount of spine busters. One of them, Drew's, looked great. Okay, you know what? Bianca's looks good too. I'm not going to take that away from Bianca. Hers looks different, but good in the way that she does it.
Yeah.
Most of the time. But yeah, to me, I wanted to like this more, but I would have really loved the singles match that came before this. I would have preferred to see that first. Like, I probably would have enjoyed this if this happened at Survivor Series.
Oh, and speaking of recycling stuff, we have another recycle of Michael Cole calling a move that is not that move because Karrion Kross did a hammerlock flatliner, and Michael Cole was like, that looked like the Future Shock DDT.
Yes, oh my God, I remember
God damn it.
It was not. It was very clearly not.
Not even in the same universe.
This is why Pat McAfee needs to be there to keep Cole in line.
Keep Cole afloat.
Yeah, seriously. For God's sakes.
My
Corey
God.
Graves is not the person to save him. But it just kept going. And the strap. literally looked like a gigantic rubber band. That may be the weakest strap I've ever seen WWE use.
Yeah.
Way to say we don't really want to do this gimmick, even though we've already said we're doing this gimmick. And it made no sound, and it didn't look like it hurt. It looked like it went on their backs every time. And there was no point. They didn't do any spots with it other than just slap each other with it. I'm like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Now, don't get me wrong. I like Scarlett, but I couldn't keep my eyes off Scarlett. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the one creative-ish spot that they did was done in the previous match. So.
Yeah, and instead, you're right, where they tied him and hit him with the strap. At least it made sense in this match. It didn't make sense in the Ronda match.
Can you imagine Karrion and Drew watching that match backstage and then they steal their spot and they're just like, what the fuck? We were going to do that.
Yeah, and nobody must say these things to each other.
Apparently not, because they don't want to hurt each other's feelings.
And I don't understand it, because this would bother the shit out of me. Well, no, it's just that people think it doesn't matter, and it does.
That too.
It does. It's just that there are a lot of boys and boys and gals in the business who just think that kind of thing was not something that needed to be addressed, and that's the archaic old way of doing things.
Or they just don't even care or notice.
Yeah. But to me, it matters psychologically, because it's this again. You know, I hate feeling that. That's why AEW, I can't stomach AEW anymore. Because it's that, but constantly. And I was really surprised how bad it was on the show. Yeah,
well, there was nothing more recycled than the hockey fights.
Yeah, which this match definitely had.
Yep.
There were no shortage of hockey fights. There was literally a hockey mascot. There was The Miz, and there were hockey fights in almost every match. And it was desensitizing. Like, the further along into the show I got, the more glazed over my eyes were.
Yeah, there was way too many of them.
Overload. You know, and again, this kind of just brings back the original point of, like, I would prefer if this stipulation pay-per-view premium live event were just done away with.
After this show, I mean, I've always liked Extreme Rules, but after last year and this year, I'm kind of in the same boat where I'm just like, again, I didn't hate this show. I thought it was fine, but I'm just kind of over it.
Yeah. Well, especially because all of these matches look like every other match that they've done for the past 15 years of all these stipulations.
And some of these matches didn't need these stipulations, and the stipulations were more of a hindrance than anything else.
Yeah, it was more like, it's Extreme Rules, so we have to have some stipulation on the show, so what do we got? Somebody call something out. First one out gets on the show. Strap match!
Strap-ons!
Yeah, exactly. And, but I do have to say, despite all that, and the match I could not sink my teeth into, I did like the finish.
I mean, it was predictable, like a lot of things on the show, but it was okay. They were trying to protect Drew.
Do in this situation?
Yeah.
It's like you booked yourself into a corner having this match. It would have been one thing, which is why you could have had this finish and not had the strap match part of this at all. That's what bothered me about this finish, is you could have had this finish, which was a good finish, but just have a regular match that we would have liked, and then gotten this finish.
Yeah.
But instead we got this strap match with the end of stipulation that hindered it, just like you said. And so this finish didn't feel as good as it could have, but what were they supposed to do? You made it a you-must-win matchup. So they had to fuck Drew somehow.
Yeah.
And they couldn't let Karrion Kross lose because he just got there, and then that would make him look like a pile of shit, even though he looked more Beaker-ish than more than
Yeah.
And my big question for this whole matchup is, where is Bunsen Honeydew? And, well, the world may never know. Do you like honeydew?
I'm vaguely aware of what you're referencing.
Honeydew is the green melon that goes with melon fruit salads that people use way too much melon in.
I don't eat fruit salad.
You go to a banquet, you get a whole lot of what's that called, a potluck, where people are like, I'll bring the fruit salad, and they bring the fruit salad, and you're like, yay, fruit salad, actual fruit, and you get cantaloupe and you get honeydew, and you get a couple sliced grapes.
I hate cantaloupe.
Maybe a slice of pineapple, and you're like, ma'am, what do you think this is? This is a melon salad. This is not a fruit salad. This is a melon salad. Now go distribute equally multiple different fruit. Don't let all those damn sliced strawberries get to the goddamn bottom. I will hit you. And why is there no whipped cream out here?
Yeah, I gotta have some whipped cream with my Scarlet.
Why there is no whipped cream at the fruit salad?
Because
it's a melon salad.
I'll tell you why there's no whipped cream. Because you lost all of it when you looked at Scarlet for too long.
Yes. Yes. I don't care what she would want to do. My answer would be yes, please. And you can't spell please with a P-L-E. So, anyway, would you like to know what Skyler thought about this match?
Please, for the love of God.
Oh, man, folks, this podcast, when JoshAgeddon and myself are left to our own devices,
It deteriorates immediately, and it doesn't stop.
It deteriorates, it comes back afloat, and then plunges deeper, and then goes back up, and then plunges deeper. It's like the stocks right now.
Sean, we started this Extreme Rules review talking about Sonic Heroes, and now we're talking about peach salad. What is happening?
Fruit salad. We're not talking about peach salad. Peach salad is a bunch of peaches and maybe a slice of cantaloupe and a slice of honeydew chopped up into the little cubes. And that's another thing. While we're on the subject of fruit salad,
Sean.
chopping your honeydew cubes way too thick. 1 inch is plenty. You don't need the 2-inch cubes and put them on the skewers so a child can choke.
You know, I have never heard anyone say 1 inch is plenty.
Well, in the context of a fruit salad, it sure is not cracky.
That's
Skyler had to say about this
Scarlet would not agree with 1 inch is plenty.
strap match. I wouldn't know.
You want to know.
Well, she wouldn't be dealing with what anyway.
Reese Skyler.
Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross with Scarlet in parentheses Sean. End parentheses. I like this beginning because it is heel tactics. Why should Kross agree to Drew's terms of a strap match when he can jump him at the start and gain advantage before the match officially begins? Because a collar and elbow tie-up would not have made it work at all.
0 on the night.
However, we also get fighting in the crowd and the match not starting for 5 minutes, which is annoying as fuck. I know we may get canceled for this, but just once I want a male wrestler to punch a female interfering in his match.
And cancel.
Well, folks, isn't it wild how this podcast is more extreme than the pay-per-view that we're reviewing called Extreme Rules?
Hell yeah, brother. Just
Very risque things. Wow, Skyler, way to hit him in the chest.
Bro, just imagine like Drew McIntyre either doing the Glasgow Kiss or the Claymore on Scarlet.
Well, the Glasgow Kiss would get him canceled.
Yeah.
That's for sure. For sure. Come on, Drew, we know you want to punch Scarlet. Equal rights mean equal punches, right? And then at the very end with no punctuation, do not cancel me. That shit may have very long. That shit may have sailed before you even got here. But again, Scarlet gets heat because she provides a distraction for Drew and allows Kross to gain the advantage. It fits that Karrion Kross cannot do shit unless Scarlet gets involved. This match was not bad, but it very much shows how Kross needs help to beat McIntyre. No offense, Kross, but if you need your woman to do that much to help you beat Big Daddy Drew, how are you going to beat anyone else? Good question. The match was fine enough for what it was. I don't know how much of a ceiling Karrion Kross has in WWE, but very much I at least understand them trying to evaluate new talent, which we have complained for years rarely happened under Vince. But now it is up to the talent like Kross to make the most of that push.
Did Skyler try to say elevate and ended up saying evaluate?
He's trying to evaluate new talent. Right? I think that's accurate. I mean, sometimes you do have to evaluate them by putting them in feuds like this to see whether they're ready for a certain position. I think, elevate would work equally, but I don't know whether it's...
Yeah.
I don't know if this is necessarily elevates Karrion Kross necessarily as much as a full...
Makes me think of that TAW pay-per-view I did last year called Evaluation.
Well, have you evaluated since then, or have you done the same shit?
Yes and no.
Yeah. However, something I am concerned about is everything JoshAgeddon just said, and there's a great one brought up in the Court Martial Podcast, episode 133, #shameless plug. And that was the podcast I did a couple weeks ago where I revisited horror gimmicks in professional wrestling. Supernational. Supernational hero.
That's the next AEW championship, the AEW Supernational Championship.
You know what? Yeah, that really does sound like an AEW belt, doesn't it?
That's a better name than the All Atlantic Wrestling All Atlantic Championship.
Yeah, definitely.
Ugh.
Supernatural /horror/mystic gimmicks have a limited shelf life. And when a company has multiple of those gimmicks, they can just highlight how good or bad another gimmick is/can be. Case in point, Karrion Kross is on the SmackDown roster, and the talent that shows up at the end of the night is on SmackDown going forward. No offense to Kross, but the other guy is so much more interesting. It's debatable. Either way, we will need to watch and see how much Karrion Kross evolves his gimmick in the future. But for now, it's a watch and see. I don't disagree with that evaluation of Karrion Kross. I think that before we continue into this next match, I think that Skyler does pose a good question. What do you think is Karrion Kross's ceiling in WWE? With Scarlett, in the way that they're presenting him currently, where do you think he peaks?
Secondary heel on SmackDown, because I'm sorry, he's not talented enough to be like the top heel. I mean, Scarlett is, but she's not a wrestler yet. Because at least that was a Vince-ism that everyone that appears on WWE programming has to wrestle a match. But I don't know.
It could be better. I mean, you know what? Times have changed. It was Extreme Rules. They could just have Nia Jax slam her into a table that they reassemble 9 times. Be like, all right, you're in.
Triple H, please don't bring Nia back. It hurt my heart enough when you brought Braun Strowman back. Please don't bring Nia Jax back, please.
There's no need.
Or want.
Yeah, yeah. You speak the truth. But I think that he's one of those guys that there's going to be opportunities for him in the main event scene, but never to win the belt. Mm-hmm. You know, one of those upper mid-card guys that you can rely on to deliver a serviceable match, who having, so long as Scarlett is there, keeps him there. I think that they could tone back. I like the entrance. I don't know if that's necessarily supernatural. If you would just put them as two just like wild and crazy kinkmeisters who start and fights and shit, I don't know if you necessarily need any supernatural addition to Karrion Kross. And I think that hurts him more than if they just presented him as a person who just liked kicking ass, taking names, and shaved his goddamn head.
Yeah. Let me put it this way. I can see Karrion Kross as the U.S. champion or the Intercontinental champion. I do not see him as the world champion.
No. But he'll get world title matches on made pay-per-views from time to time, I'm sure.
Perhaps.
And not to win. You know, there's a lot of guys who were like that, who would get title matches and would never really win them, but they felt still like they were involved. And then Mick Foley was that way for a long time before they finally gave him his. You know, even Bob Holly has a couple random world title matches under his belt. Bubba Dudley before he won his. You know, it's there are quite a few guys who have had that. Matt Hardy until he won his. You know, there's a lot of people who have kind of fit that position, and I get the feeling that that is where Karrion Kross's highest zenith might be, until they finally take Scarlett away from him to have Scarlett be a star for an actual bigger main event star, and then he just kind of fades down into obscurity.
Fizzles off the face of the earth.
Yes. I mean, he appears on Up, Up, Down, Down, like all of the successful wrestlers.
I mean, remember, like when he was in the main roster last year, they removed Scarlett, and that killed him. Well, and they also put him in a They also put him in a Shredder outfit.
Yeah, they put him in a Shredder relic outfit, which is killer spelled backwards, by the way. And that made no sense.
And had him lose to Jeff Hardy in 3 minutes as NXT champion.
Goddamn. Why?
Just, why even bother?
Well, I agree with Guy. It's a watch and see with Karrion Kross. As for Drew,
I feel so bad for
Drew. You
Drew.
gotta turn this mofo heel at some point.
Yeah. This poor guy.
It's really starting to get a little grating having the same Drew McIntyre we've had for the past 2 years still doing the same shit that he was doing for the past 2 years just without a belt. And I don't want him to end up being like the top guy Dolph Ziggler.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You know? Where he just ends up being the guy that the people that they're trying to push fight to get to a higher level. And I'm afraid that that's what Drew has become.
Dude, you remember how Dolph Ziggler won the world title and it was so over, then he got concussed and all of it just got ruined?
Yep.
Drew McIntyre won the big belt, had a huge reaction, then COVID ruined it. I hope Drew McIntyre is not a Dolph Ziggler 2.0.
Yeah.
That makes me sad.
Oh, I didn't mean to bring the mood down that bad. And I love Drew.
Me too.
I love Drew. And Drew, if something's not going right with Drew, Drew's going to say so.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't see Drew back in the main event scene right now. And that worries me because he's one of the best guys they have to put in the main event scene.
Mm-hmm.
He was just in it, and it feels like what they did with him with the whole Tyson Fury thing just completely, like, made him look baboonish.
Yeah, because Kevin Dunn forgot to turn the show off.
Like a goddamn idiot. But, thankfully, something that did not make me turn this show off was the next match, which I thought was one of the best of the night. You didn't.
We'll get into it.
Well, tell us what
It was the Raw Women's Championship ladder match. Bayley defending against... Bianca Belair defending against Bayley. I didn't hate this match. I thought it was fine. I thought it was good. But there were a few things in it that kind of perturbed me. And I just didn't feel like it was as good as it could have been. But it was still good. It was honestly, this match is when the show kind of turned around, because the first half of the show was just kind of but the second half of the show was much better than the first.
It's true, even though I was still, like I said before, I really was starting to get ground down in regards to the just constant non-anything of rules.
Mm-hmm.
And it just, this match was, I'm just glad it took so long for the Damage Control to get involved.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think that they had a logical match where they actually did a decent amount of wrestling. It wasn't just all ladder spots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, they actually had some of that, and that is probably why I favored this match more than a lot of them. It was paced slow enough, but not so excruciatingly slow that it felt like it was dragging. Like, that was one of the things with Karrion Kross and Drew. It felt like it was dragging.
Mm-hmm.
The Donnybrook felt like it was dragging. The Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey match refused to end until somebody came. And it's just...
It refused to finish until one of them did.
Yes, exactly. So, and this match, I mean, you want to talk about like a complete step up in the talent level of women wrestling. These two, I knew these two were going to have a good match. What I was afraid of is that this match would end up being like every other match that they've had before. And it wasn't.
Mm-hmm. I
think that Bayley tightened some things up. I mean, Bayley's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world today.
Agreed.
Period.
Agreed.
She is absolutely phenomenal, and it doesn't look like she lost a step in the year that she took off to recover from injuries at all. But I have noticed that she does take things a little bit slower to make more time for body language.
Mm-hmm.
And it is something that I think has helped Bayley improve, and it really did help pace this match to where it ebbed and flowed.
I loved that during the entrance she started screaming at Michael Cole, and then she ripped a sign away from a fan and punched it, even though I couldn't really tell what the sign was.
Yeah, I forgot what it said. There were a couple signs that I can't remember what they said, but they were very interesting signs to be on the show. But it was just, to me, this match worked because Bianca Belair is one of the best baby faces WWE has right now, too, which is another plus to this
Yes,
matchup.
exactly. That's one of the main things I liked about it, is they're continuing to make Bianca very strong. There are some people, I would like to think, a vocal minority of people that are kind of sick of Bianca being the top women's babyface. But, I mean, we have a over female babyface champion who's really good at what she does. When's the last time we've had that?
To me, they need a star like Bianca right now.
Exactly.
They need somebody with Charlotte. Who knows what the hell Charlotte's doing, recovering from I forget what injury, and doing whatever Andrade's doing, which is her.
Yeah.
And
Speaking of finishing,
and Sasha Banks is off not being near fans, which I understand. And Becky Lynch is hurt as well, so she's taking time off. And Bianca, they've done a really good job, and I gotta give Vince credit for this too.
Yeah, miraculously, part of why she's a big star right now is because of how Vince McMahon treated her during the end of his tenure.
Vince had a lot of faith in Bianca Belair, and it was very well placed. And I think that it goes to show that it's not necessarily that Vince doesn't back good horses. It's just that statistically his miss ratio was bigger than his hit ratio towards the end. But Bianca Belair, he got right. And I think that while I didn't love why they main evented the first split, or when they main evented WrestleMania, 37?
37 night one?
Night one. Well, I didn't love why they did it. You can't deny that they earned the fact they earned it through that match. And they're really trying to give Bianca the recognition that she is somebody that people are really gravitating towards. And the best part about this ladder match is I think that this was the most defined babyface heel dynamic on the whole show.
That is true. That was true. You could clearly tell what the roles were in this match.
Yeah, and I think that really helped Philadelphia really get some more energy back in, because I feel like leading into and kind of finishing Drew and carrying Cross, they were starting to feel the way I was, where they were getting a little grilled with the amount of stipulation stuff that was going on.
They were hot for the first match. They fell asleep during the second match, and the third match didn't do much to wake them back up.
No. And this did.
This did.
It really, they did a lot of good stuff here. And we'll talk about the finish here, but I love the back and forth they did. They didn't do anything I thought that was too risky. They did some stuff that looked devastating, but there was nothing to me in this match that made me go, oh my God, that there hurt bad.
That elbow drop that Bayley did on Bianca with the ladder bridge.
For that.
How does Bayley still have an arm?
That is the only one. I'm glad you reminded me of that. That's the only one.
That was nasty.
Bayley, you just got back. What the hell are you doing?
Her shoulder is in like 35 different pieces right now after that.
Seriously, that was insane. But it was great, though. And they used the ladders in creative ways, and it didn't feel like every other ladder match that they had, because they felt more like you were into them than you were the gimmick.
Yeah, and they didn't abuse the gimmick as well. It felt like a wrestling match that also just happened to involve ladders. Not, let's just kill each other with stuff.
Yeah.
The movie, the video game.
And I knew that the fans were really legitimately into this match, because they weren't cheering for the ladders or the spots or this is awesome. They chanted for Bianca Belair.
That is true.
They chanted for the babyface. That's when I know that you've got a good match on your hands. If you've got a babyface getting cheered for and a heel getting booed, and not the fans doing whatever the fuck they're feeling like doing because they feel like they're equally as important as the wrestlers.
Yeah. But then Damage Control came out, and I will say I like that Bianca fended off everyone by herself. That double KOD attempt, however, was not the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
There were two major blemishes on this match, and that was one of them.
Yeah, I don't know how Io Sky didn't end up with a broken face on that.
It took way too long to set up. They should have just said fuck it.
Yeah.
They should have just said fuck it, and then instead had of Bianca just have like Dakota Kai just kick up, like leverage her so it kicked Io Sky up, and she just crashed and burned on the outside and done the one KOD.
And honestly, the way they were both set up, like the way Bianca Bianca was facing the wrong way and had to rotate herself, and that took more time. And it was just.
Io Sky tried to get on the wrong
Yeah. It was just it was a mess.
They should have just said fuck it.
Yeah.
I think that would have been one of the times like screw it, we'll just forget it.
And then the finish of this match.
On to Bianca if they just left that spot out and just been like, all right, I'm just gonna fight whatever I can. But
this finish.
But then there's the finish, and I only have one problem with it.
Same.
Because I like the whole thing, ladder on the chesticles thing, where they push the ladder. You know, Bianca pushes the ladder. I liked that. I've seen that a bunch. But then, before we get into the finish, though, the thing with the knee brace. Now, tell me if this made sense to you. So you see Bayley like rage kick one of the ladders.
Yeah.
And it looks like a ladder run came off, and it ended up being like a half a ladder later on for this finishing spot. It looked like when Bayley used that boomerang-like thing in her brace that was just a piece of the ladder that she had kept, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
It was just an additional metal piece that was used as an additional metal spot. And my question is, why?
I don't know.
Just with the ladder piece.
I think that was I think that like boomerang thing she was holding, I think that came off of her knee brace.
That's what I'm saying. But then she used it.
She missed. Yeah, she tried to use it and Bianca moved out of the way, so she missed it.
Yeah.
It was just.
But
yeah.
That was that part. I just wanted to make sure we mentioned that before.
It was odd.
Bayley grabs this ladder. Bianca has Bayley up for a KOD right? It was a KOD, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Bayley gets KOD'd onto the ladder, and Bianca goes up and gets the belt. But here's my question to you, JoshAgeddon. Why would Bayley hold on to that ladder in the first place?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there wasn't a ladder laying down on the ground that Bianca just slammed her on top of. No, when she picked her up, Bayley grabbed one half of the ladder and just held it and was just waiting for the spot to happen. And it was
why?
Because wrestling is fake. That's why.
It's like you couldn't have used your hands to try and like just worm out of it, and then
it's or like do the Triple H Batista thing where he's about to hit him with a sledgehammer, but Batista hits the Batista bomb first.
Yeah, and if they did try to do that, it was not conveyed well.
Yeah, it looked so phony.
The end result was fine, as though once again having a stipulation match like this is really booking into a corner, because now you've got to beat the still trying to establish themselves damage control.
Also, real quick,
lose this match.
Real quick,
you don't want people losing.
Real quick, I misspoke. There was a ladder laying on the ground that Bianca could have just slammed Bayley into, but she didn't.
Nope. Not today.
And in fact, that would have been the same exact spot that she did to beat her in the Hell in a Cell match, which is that was why this was a ladder match, because of that spot in their Hell in a Cell match. It would have been a little poetic for this match to end the same way, but instead, because I guess they didn't want to be redundant, she just grabbed a ladder and just held on to it.
All night anyway.
Yeah, but now is when we care about redundancy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It was okay. It didn't kill the match. It was just.
It didn't kill the match. I thought the match itself was quite good.
Yeah,
I think it really was just like. It was like an okay, like the final 2 minutes of this were just like, oh, come on, guys, like.
Yeah. Good match, weak finish.
Yeah. But it was still one of my favorites on the show. It actually woke me back up a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? This was still fun. You could tell that these women, I want more full-length wrestling matches between these women.
Yeah, and it got the crowd back into the show.
And it got the crowd back in the show, got me back into the show. And what about Skyler, JoshAgeddon?
Let me tell you what Skyler said about this match.
Please do.
Ladder match for the Raw Women's title: Bianca Belair versus Bayley. Joshua in parentheses. Didn't know that was Bayley's last name. The talent in this women's match so dwarfs the I agree with this first line. The talent in this women's match so dwarfs the SmackDown title match by far. Accurate.
Yeah, they look like that little green elf from Disenchantment compared to this match.
The greatest feud in WWE is still Bayley versus Michael Cole. Change my mind. Bayley is so good as a heel, it is hard to picture her as a babyface back when she was an innocent schoolgirl hugger. Rephrase that in NXT so many years ago. This show.
Wait, well, please say again. I don't know if the folks caught it. What the exact 3 words in the exact order that he has them presented to you.
Innocent school child hugger.
Yes. In NXT. Yeah.
Next NXT as a next person going to jail.
Yeah.
Anyway, Jesus Christ.
What is happening? Folks, this is what you signed up for.
Sean, whenever it's just me and you, bad things happen.
It is. Or good things, depending on your
Yeah.
point of view.
And speaking of hugging the children, guess who debuted on the show? Bray Wyatt. Anyway,
Yeah. Stay tuned.
the stars aligned for this show, and so did the children. Bayley and Bianca are incapable of having a bad match with each other. Credit always go to Bianca's athletic ability, allowing her to do at least one amazing spot per match, combined with Bayley's brilliant mind for storytelling and in-ring IQ. Of course, Dakota Kai and Io Sky got involved, and man, I was so worried about that double KOD spot, and did not end up worse than it did. As it was an incredibly cool spot, even if the setup minute took a lot longer than normal to hit. I disagree on that. It was funky looking.
They should have just canned it.
Yeah.
They had the time to can it, and they just full-fledged trucked into it.
The spot with the hair whip will make Sean groan because yet again another Bianca Belair match involving her hair. My only argument is that Bianca's hair is so important to her gimmick, and look, it's okay if it gets used in every match she has if they find a way to use her hair differently in every match, so it is not the same hair spot.
I didn't mind it, honestly. I didn't mind it in this match.
I mean, and also she hasn't done it a lot as of late, and I watch more of the TV show than you do, Sean, and on Raw TV she has not used the hair. So
yeah, I think honestly she's definitely toned it down a bit. I think she knew that it was getting a little tired.
Yeah.
So she dialed it back just a little bit so it felt more important when she did it. So I was fine with it.
I do admit the result of this match surprised me because I thought Bayley would win the title here. I have heard some complaints about Bianca quickly becoming like John Cena and overcoming the odds. While I do see the issue with the odds being overcome, I do not think Bianca is like John Cena because when John overcame all the odds, he always had the Hulk Hogan-esque comeback with the 5 moves of doom shit, including the worst move ever, the 5-knuckle shuffle. Also, while John is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time even, Skyler has always had milk toast taste in a lot of things. But anyway, moving on. I must admit he is as boring as a white bread with butter on it. Not even toasted bread, plain white bread with butter on it. Belair is still interesting because of the struggles, trials, and tribulations she has gone through in life. Bianca, despite being gifted with great genetics, that's a weird compliment, had to work hard for everything she got and make her dreams come true with a combination of passion, smarts, and athletic ability. Take that, Liv Morgan. I agree with that. Liv Morgan and Bianca have a similar story, except Bianca Belair has something that Liv Morgan does not have, and that is talent. For that,
Mr. Tentacles has all the talent.
yes. For that reason,
If I'm lucky, Mr. Talent will rub his tentacles on my art.
all right. For that reason and few others, no, Bianca Belair isn't like John Cena, and I still support her title reign. Although it becomes interesting because who will be the woman to take the title off of Bianca Belair? It's Charlotte Flair, isn't it? Fuck.
sad, but probably true.
I have seen a few people complain about Bianca Belair being black female John Cena. It doesn't bother me as much because, in my opinion, Bianca Belair is way better than John Cena. It doesn't bother me.
And I also don't think that's very true.
I don't think so. Every time they have a finish like this where a babyface looks strong, the fans, a lot of smarks, are just conditioned to hate it.
I mean, it took Bianca a full year from losing the belt to Becky last year to getting the belt back this year.
Yeah.
She won a lot of matches, but she also lost, quite a few. But
yeah.
They kept her strong, and now she's having a decent title reign, and people were like, "Oh no, fuck that, no."
The fans are so fickle. They do this all the time. They love someone and they want something, and then you give them what they want, and then 2 minutes later they're like, we don't like it anymore. It's boring.
Well, here's the bottom line: whether you like Bianca or don't, WWE needs Bianca Belair right now.
Yes.
They need solid women. They need a champion, and they need a baby face that is going to bring tickets and actually sell tickets the way that tickets used to be sold. And right now, she's proving that she can do that.
Who name the big successful baby faces in WWE besides Bianca Belair.
Ouch.
That is very revealing, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Drew at a time, but not right now.
I would just say
Cody right now is probably the biggest babyface they have.
And he's not there.
And he's not there.
But,
so right now, Bianca is really trying to carry as much weight as she can. But, thank God we have the rated R
Superstar Edge.
That also did not deserve this build-up or did not deserve this match. Because, again, this is a stipulation without a match rather than a match without a stipulation. It's Edge and Finn Balor in an I Quit match, and
this was my favorite thing on the show.
Yeah.
And I know that Sean is gonna hard disagree with me on that.
I just can't do it with this motherfucker.
I know that Finn.
I can't.
Finn gets the exact opposite reaction out of you that Scarlett does.
Yeah, I just can't do it with Finn Balor. He doesn't do it for me. And Edge tried here. Edge tried. But I couldn't. He still felt like the least important person of his group after winning an I Quit match with Edge. That's the thing that bothers me.
I don't agree with that, but again, me and you are never going to see eye to eye on Finn Balor. Although, there was one thing that you said. That made me pop. That mask that Finn Balor was wearing, he looked like Voldo from Soul Calibur.
Accurate.
That was such a good reference. I loved that.
Yes, and it's true. Go look him up. He's got multiple skins and multiple chins, cause you're old. I'm getting so hard on Nickelodeon.
Yeah, Nickelodeon's lawyers are contacting us as we speak.
Literally, the entire office is going up. Paramount Plus wants to know your location.
But I will say, this match dragged at the beginning, and really, I thought it was fine. I loved the last 5 minutes.
That was a big part of the problem for me.
But I will say, the second they went into the crowd in this match, I was like, we already did this.
Yeah, and they were out there longer.
But I will say, if they did more interesting stuff than Drew and Karrion did. Karrion and Drew just did punches. Like, Edge and Balor actually did, like, Edge hit him with a hockey stick. I bet that gave Skyler Greenberg some PTSD. I loved the flapjack into that part of the arena, like that door that he just slammed Finn Balor face first into. I thought that was brutal.
Yeah, but it did kind of reek of, well, here's a bunch of spots we set up for you. Now walk to your spots and do your spots and then get back into the ring and get the business done.
True, and I also liked that he put Edge's head into the guardrail and choked him. And another thing, you mentioned that it was annoying that the referee kept sticking the microphone in everyone's face, But
Yes.
at least the referee every 10 seconds didn't go, "Do you want to quit?" At least the referee just put the microphone next to them instead of interrupting with, "Do you want to quit?" every 10 seconds, because that would have been more annoying.
It became it happened too often.
Yeah.
You know, I think it just ended up, like, breaking up the pace of the match a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's one of the things, you know, I got to give credit to, and this is going to be a weird one to reference here, but Mick Foley versus Ric Flair SummerSlam 06. They did it a couple of times over the course of a 12-minute match, but it was really only for, like, the beginning, so they could yell at each other, and right at the finish, and it worked. As ridiculous as it was for those two to be having an I Quit match at that stage of their careers. But it worked there. Here, I didn't really ever believe that Edge and Finn Balor were mad at each other. Until the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, until the last couple minutes.
You know, it just felt like they were just doing what they planned. And there was a lot of walking to the next spot.
Yeah.
Then do the spot, then walking to the next spot. And it took me out of it. And I'm not disagreeing with you. They did do more interesting things while they were outside.
It would have been better if Karrion and Drew did not do crowd brawling.
But how many I Quit matches have we seen them do setup spots with these setup places?
Yeah, that is true.
Arena? They always look different. They always have a big spot. They always get up and walk to somewhere else in the crowd. This is WWE stereotypical I Quit match format. That is true.
I can't. Even though I enjoyed it, it is very formulaic.
And this was what hampered the whole night for me. This is what I've come to expect from a WWE I Quit match. No blood.
Yeah.
This is the match. If there was one match.
This match did need some blood. This match did need some juice.
This was the one. If Edge and Finn had gotten double juice, I would have been way more invested into this match than I actually was.
And even though this was my favorite thing on the show, and I have been following Raw the past several weeks, I mean, I understood why they had Edge versus Finn Balor, because Finn Balor's the one that did the coup de grace on Edge's leg and broke his leg and had him out of action for several weeks. So I know why Edge was zeroing in on Finn Balor. It's the I Quit stipulation that he landed on that just felt super random.
Yeah.
But you
not called for.
Yeah, the only reason why this was an I Quit match, was to have Edge say I quit because Beth Phoenix was going to be threatened. That's the only reason why.
Which I don't really know if that, because obviously
that's WWE's logic. If they could have still done this could have been the Extreme Rules match. And then at the end of the match, Beth Phoenix comes out to help, but then they beat Edge or whatever, and then they still do the concerto to Beth and make Edge watch anyway. You didn't need the I Quit stipulation for that.
I'm going to say to you what I said when you said that another match should have been the Extreme Rules match. This would have been a great singles match.
Yeah.
Between these two. I mean, listen, I appreciate what Edge is trying to do here. Because he knows, and it's obvious with this matchup and the fact that he's working with Finn as he's heading into the twilight of his career, he knows that Triple H is very high on Finn Balor, and he knows that his reputation right now amongst the people is not great. Realistically, from what they view him as, and that's why Edge did everything in his power to make Finn Balor look like an equal here. I don't think it worked because I don't like Finn Balor, because I am biased. But
it worked for me because I do like Finn Balor, and I am biased, but
I respect the fact of what Edge is trying to do here, right?
Yeah.
And I think that if they can capitalize somehow on what Finn Balor can do without getting him too hokey, then maybe there is some way that Triple H can rehabilitate him. I just don't think that him being the leader of this group is the way to do that.
And also, it is still kind of difficult to take Finn seriously considering what happened to Finn Balor last year's Extreme Rules. The stink of that is still on Finn Balor.
Yeah. And Rhea Ripley and Damian Priest just look so goddamn good together because they look so incredible, and Dominic and Rhea Ripley look so good together. And Rhea Ripley just turned 26. Anyway. Zipping over here. Anyway.
Sean wants to see Scarlett versus Rhea Ripley in a bra and panties match.
No, let's not get.
No, he wants to see those two in a strap match.
No, come on. Rhea Ripley's better than a bra and panties. Both of them are better than a bra and panties match. Come on.
Sorry, the Jerry Lawler in me came out. I'm sorry.
Yeah, come on. I respect Rhea Ripley's wrestling ability, and Scarlett Bordeaux could probably do the bra and panties match. But we gotta bring back Stacy Keibler for it if we're gonna.
But there was one thing that there was one tiny little thing Finn Balor did in this match that made me happy. Remember earlier when Liv Morgan tried to put the steel chair in the corner and she screwed it up and that caused the chair to fall over and for them both to go, oh crap, that was our next spot?
Yes.
Finn Balor did the same thing, except he put the chair in the corner properly and the chair didn't fall over because Finn Balor's an actual wrestler that knows what he's doing, Liv Morgan. I'm not upset.
I also want to say, kind of on that, piggybacking that idea, I respect that Finn Balor knows how to work.
Mm-hmm.
He does. He's a good wrestler. He's a good worker. I've seen his stuff. Like his match with Timothy Thatcher was wicked fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there are a couple matches of his I like, and I respect the fact that he's good at what he does. It's just something about the visual and the presentation for me that I can't warm up to. It's just, I cannot warm up to him. And that was the biggest problem, is that Edge's 3 spears looked a lot more devastating than Finn Balor's 3 coup de grace.
Yeah, I know you're also not super high on the... What if Finn was a little bit bigger and Edge was maybe not as jacked as he is now, it would have been better, and also if it wasn't for Edge's neck, we could have gotten 3 Bloody Sundays, or 1916s.
Yeah.
Instead, and that would have been more brutal.
Yeah, and it just, to me, this match went too long.
Yeah.
And if they had cut all of that outside the ring hullabaloo out,
yeah,
it would have been fine.
But hey, do you want to know what...
Good. I liked the finish. There was again, what are you going to do? You got to give Judgment Day a win somehow.
Yeah.
They've got to beat Edge, but you can't just have Edge say, I quit because he's being punished.
Do you know what
had to know Beth was going to get involved.
Yeah.
Which, credit to Triple H, she had no music.
Yeah. Rey Mysterio did, though,
Not in there.
which was annoying.
That was huge.
Rey Mysterio having music was annoying when he came out to interfere.
Yeah, but that's Rey. I mean, whatever.
Yeah. But hey, you said like the best thing in this match was Beth Phoenix's selling.
Yeah.
She sold the concerto magnificently. We're kind of sick of concertos at this point.
Yeah, agreed.
But like Beth was almost seizing, and the way her hands were like arching upwards, like she was having electric shocks go through her, that was perfect.
Now, Joshua, you probably... Well, no, let me rephrase that. You definitely don't, but as once again, I'm going to talk about a previous episode. That same episode, Skyler reference 133, I mentioned the Tua Tagovailoa concussion thing with his hand seized up.
I actually went and watched that. And my God.
Yeah.
That was...
I guarantee you that's where Beth Phoenix got that cell.
Probably.
I
Probably.
bet you.
It is eerily similar.
And it was perfect. It was really good.
Yeah, that dude got for those of you that don't know, for those of you that also don't sport, there was a football player who had already been injured previously in the week, and everyone was mad that the Miami Dolphins?
Yes.
The Miami Dolphins, they put this guy who clearly had a head injury like a week or so before. They put him in another football game, and everyone was mad about it. And the dude, off of a tackle, got German suplexed, and his arms like rigor mortis, and it was horrifying.
Yeah. It's like you can't unsee that.
Yeah.
And that was really great. It was, yeah.
Not good.
It was a rough time. But Beth did a great job selling.
Yes.
So did Edge, honestly.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that, and Judgment Day needed the win, right? The end result, fine.
They needed a win, and they also needed to do some kind of heinous act.
Yes. And at least in this point, you know, I feel like they should have had more officials trying to stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe have Liv punch some referees and Damian punch some referees as they get ready to do that. Or, I'm sorry, Finn and Damian as Maria does the act.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got in and got out. And again, Another problem I have with this formatting.
Yep.
If you're going to crush somebody's skull in between two chairs, get it done and get out of there. This took far too long for a attempted homicide.
Yeah.
It did. Commit
Yeah.
the crime, get the fuck out of there. And WWE is terrible with this. Because they milk things for so long. How long did Edge stare and watch and
Well,
sit there milking the chair?
To be
It's
fair,
like, I get why.
in
I get why.
WWE's logic that is sometimes faulty, no one came out to stop it because the match was still in progress. Even
Ray is Edge's only friend
yeah,
on Earth.
yeah,
Because Christian doesn't exist anymore.
yeah. Christian's on that other show that's totally gonna last a couple more years.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, I can forgive it because if the match had ended and then they did that, then I would be like, where the hell is security? The fact that the match was still in progress makes it easier for me to buy.
Sure. But they still should have gotten the fuck out of there.
But they still didn't. They milked that cow until that cow fell over, and then they put a chair underneath the cow's head, and they gave the cow a concerto, and then they took it to McDonald's, cooked it up, hooked them up a nice McDouble, and everyone was happy except for the cow. And the cow's loved ones.
And Edge's stomach lining.
Yeah.
Would you like to know what Skyler had to say about
Before that, I have some insider stuff on what's going on next for the Judgment Day, because I watch Raw and you do not.
I do not, so please inform us.
I'm gonna tell you about my insider information. Okay, so on Raw, they had a match between Rey Mysterio and Chad Gable, which was like a 5-minute match, and it was kind of disappointing because they kind of squashed Chad Gable. But Dominic came out, and they had the whole Joker Batman hit me, and of course Rey doesn't want to hit Dominic, so Dominic gave Rey Mysterio the slowest 619 of all time because Dominic Mysterio is still green as hell. And then Finn Balor and Damian Priest came out, and they were bragging about beating Edge. So AJ Styles came out because Finn Balor for the past several weeks has been trying to get AJ Styles to join the Judgment Day. But he's also been attacking AJ Styles, saying, oh, you don't want to join? Well, we'll beat you up, and then I'll ask you again, hey, you want to join now that I've kicked your ass a little bit? So AJ started pretending that he was going to join. He was teasing it. But then he brought out Anderson and Gallows, the OC. So now we're getting the club, AJ, Anderson, and Gallows versus the Judgment Day. Your thoughts.
They're more interesting here than they are on their own.
Yeah, their primary purpose. Their primary purpose is to serve as decent backup for AJ Styles because AJ has just been lone wolfing it for so long now, and it makes sense.
No, he literally had a gigantic 7-foot tumor.
Yeah, that too.
His soccer mom's head.
Yeah.
That he's had to carry around for the past year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
He's just now shrugged it off and got the laser surgery removal of said tumor.
Yeah.
He's trying to recover and get his strength back.
And that tumor for some reason, that tumor has just been gestating. It's like the appetizer in that one SpongeBob episode. Just starts grabbing jobbers and eating them on Raw. It's weird.
They literally locked it in the WWE warehouse like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. He's being examined by top men.
Yeah.
Top men.
God. So many references on this podcast.
Skyler has said about this matchup.
Alrighty.
Alright. I Quit match Edge versus Finn Balor, parentheses, Shawn N, parentheses. The little teenage boy in me still smiles whenever Edge gets an entrance and people pop for him. Those years watching Edge when I was 13 to 18 and Edge was still active. Wait, hold on. I'm just got to start that sentence over. Those years watching Edge when I was 13 to 18 and Edge was still active in 2005 to 2012 still makes me smile whenever I see him. That was so not a sentence.
The 2005 to 2012 was such unnecessary information.
No, grammatically, I was just so thrown. There's like phrases that aren't even like, they don't go there.
That is the most redundant run-on sentence I've ever read in my entire life. The 13 to 18 was the only time description we needed, Skyler.
Yeah, and I don't think, what's funny is that I don't think those are even the two same time periods.
I think you might be right.
Anyway, let's move on. Judging off that mask Finn Balor has, Damian Priest's general tone and body movements, and Rhea Ripley and Dominic Mysterio's relationship, wow, you want to talk about a theme today. I have concluded that Judgment Day is some weird BDSM sex cult, and I'm not gonna lie, it's hot. Folks, if you're just joining us, welcome to the Extreme Rules 2022 review.
Hell yeah.
Extreme.
Man, we've got pronouns, kinks, we've got
weird clothing, we got skin tight leather.
We got noodles, we got milk.
We got,
Jesus.
We got Skyler in paper form. We got obligatory Ask Him Chris Jericho jokes.
Give me some paper cuts so I can come. Anyway.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but boy, what a kinky show this was.
Oh hell yeah.
All right, okay. Michael Cole knowing who the fuck Ole and Gene Anderson are in Mid-Atlantic is weird. Yeah, but that was definitely only peripheral knowledge. I do not believe for 1 second that Michael Cole has watched a single Ole Anderson match in his life. I find that hard to believe. The hard part about gimmick matches in WWE is that they all follow formulas and quotas of spots to hit in the match. Sean will make mention of this, that this is WWE's formula. He called it.
Yep.
And if you watch long enough, you can call spots easily because you've seen it a million times before. Every match had that tonight. However, no other match really hit me with that more than this one. See, this is why Skyler and I do podcasts together, because he catches the same stuff I do. The biggest problem was that everyone else on the show kept their match moving, and there was not as much time to register the spots as they were happening. And again, don't start it anyway. But because of the stipulation being I quit, and the purposeful stopping to ask if the wrestler quits forces the formula right on you. Words. It also did not help that this was the match that clocked in at the longest of the night at 30 minutes. Every other match clocked in at 17 minutes. Drew and Cross had a 5-minute brawl before the match started, so while their time was 10 minutes, it's really 15. See? Skyler, the statistician.
Mm-hmm.
Edge and Finn Balor did all the moves correctly, so there were not any issues I saw when it came to bad wrestling, but I quit is what I quit is. At least Michael Cole got the energy to yell a lot about Edge giving up and Rey and Dominic's relationship. Also, Rey and Dominic feuding was better in NWL, just saying.
True. True.
Not wrong. Paul Heyman, that is how you unlock a pair of handcuffs.
Also true. Hey, Brock Lesnar and Beth Phoenix know how tools work.
That's right. We've got some hope.
We've got 2 out of how many wrestlers are in WWE?
I don't want to actually look up and count. But now this is interesting from Skyler. But the biggest sin of this match was everything involving Beth Phoenix. I love Edge. I love Beth Phoenix. It is extremely cute that they got married. Have beautiful daughters together and are one of the best couples in wrestling. However, since Edge's return, every feud that Edge has had involves Beth Phoenix in some shape or form. He's not wrong.
That is true.
Randy Orton RKO's her. Seth Rollins invaded her home. The Miz and Maurice wrestled versus Edge and Beth. Please do not remind me.
Why?
Ever. I am tired of using Beth Phoenix and Edge's stuff, and while I love the idea of Beth Phoenix versus Rhea Ripley, as do I doubt we get that match, and I like that match more as an idea than actually seeing them wrestle each other. Good point. This finish was a way to cop out an Edge loss using Beth. It's heelish and evil, but it's been done to death. I'm tired of Edge feuding with the Judgment Day. Can we please move him on to someone else? Well, we've already heard that. Judgment Day appears to be feuding with AJ Styles, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows, so that is somewhat of a change. Just stay away from Edge and do your own thing, please. So that's the story.
I feel like I was more high on this match. Sean, you and Skyler were both... you were kind of down on this match, and Skyler was kind of in the middle, but more leaning towards your direction. Although I would say none of the three of us hated it. It wasn't bad.
No, nothing here except for Liv and Ronda was bad.
Yes,
right?
that is true.
It wasn't bad, but there were other things. Most of them, like I said, format for me was the biggest grievance I had that kind of diminished almost everything on the show.
Yeah.
And then we get a very interesting concept. Now, I had not watched this concept when it was in NXT.
Me either.
So JoshAgeddon, break this down for us. Our main event. We have not seen the lingering issue on the whole night, and I was afraid it would show up during the match.
Our main event of the evening, ladies and gentlemen, for one fall, was Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins in the Fight Pit. At first, I had no idea what this was because I didn't see the other two Fight Pit matches in NXT. I was afraid that it was that weird MMA circular cage where they had the cameras in there and they basically just did an MMA fight. I think they did that with Jake Hager in AEW.
Yeah, that was bad.
I was terrified that it was that. But this is basically a steel cage match where the roof is flattened out horizontally and you can actually like walk on there. It's kind of like a scaffolding a teeny bit. They take the ropes away and you can only win by submission or last man standing 10 count knockout. So those are only two ways to win. And I personally thought that this match, my favorite thing on the show was the I Quit match. This was probably my second favorite thing on the show.
Well,
although it did take a couple minutes for it to really get going.
Here's the thing. I like Seth Rollins a lot. I like how serious he was coming to the ring. You know, I like the intensity that Matt Riddle kind of had. I liked rewatching them use the word fuck. That was great.
Yeah.
I like the concept of this match as far as like the up and the down. And I even liked Daniel Cormier. Amazingly enough. But this is not Daniel Cormier's genre.
Yeah.
To be fair, he was doing real rough stuff of, hey, Seth, you can't win from up there. You got to get down here, feller. Yeah. And don't touch me. I will fuck you up. I'm Daniel Cormier.
I did love that he was very firm about, hey, don't touch me. And he, like, backed Seth up. Because even it's good to see referees in WWE. It's good. Well, he, like, backed Seth into the cage with his forearm on Seth's throat, which was, like, I was like, whoa. But it's good to see. It's just rare to see referees in wrestling now actually, like, doing their job.
Yeah, with balls.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I did like that, though, because throughout the whole thing, that it did help sell the legitimacy. And I know that's exactly why he was there. And just him saying little things like that did help. But this got to a point where they were really just kind of moving around, and there was nothing for Cormier to do. So he just kind of stood there and watched, and I kind of felt for him. Because he probably knew he was out of his element, and it felt like he was out of his element. But the reason he was there, I think, still helped. What he did still helped to the match. It's a lot better than if they had Charles Robinson in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, no offense to Lil Nate. I love Lil Nate. But if it would have been Lil Nate, you would have known what you're getting.
Also, there was a criticism that you had that I very much agree with. The roof of the Fight Pit cage was the neon green, purple Extreme Rules colors.
Oh, yeah, I did not like that.
Super goofy. It should have just been, like, gray or black.
Yeah. And also, another thing that I noticed structurally, and I was a little, like, nervous about it, I'm like, I really hope that none of the sides break.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, because there's nothing over there to, like, they're going to fall straight down.
Yeah.
That's, like, the one design flaw. So they have to make sure that there is no 1998 Hell in a Cell moment. Otherwise, somebody might get seriously hurt.
Yeah.
And I thought about that, and I'm like, well, maybe they know not to hit the sides. But they did slam into the sides a couple times.
Matt got buckle bombed into the side one time.
Yeah.
And I was like,
What
ooh.
would have happened if it had given?
Yeah, that's why I was like, oh, God. Please, guys, be careful.
The rest of the story, like what the story of this pay-per-view would have ended up being.
The death of Matt Riddle.
Yeah, seriously. Like, I'm glad that it didn't happen. But, like, that is something that did make me nervous about the design of this. But it was different. It was unique. I think that Seth really actually trying to, like, sell that he could fight Matt Riddle in a fight, but actually knowingly not, because he's just taking advantage as a heel.
And also, just saying, that submission that he came up with to try to counter Matt Riddle in a submission-based match, the Peruvian neck lock, I love that. That's such a cool-looking submission move. I hope he, like, I know that was just a one-off for this match, but I wish that he would keep it.
It was a cool move. I just wish it weren't called the Peruvian neck lock.
I mean, maybe it was made in Peruvia. That's not the name of that country, but I'm just spitballing.
I don't know. I don't. But the thing is, I don't believe that that's the actual name of it.
What would you call it? The whoa lock.
That's much more believable.
The Seth lock.
Yeah. It's the Seth. It's the freaking.
The freaking! He put him in the freaking!
He's going to put you in the freaking. And then you'll be freaking out because you're going to tap out.
Release the freaking!
Yes. That's Seth. That's Seth Waluigi.
Yeah.
The wah lock.
The wah lock!
Yeah.
The ha lock.
That's the one.
Anyway.
That's the
but
one.
my favorite spot in this match, because it made me go, oh God, out loud. The senton from the top of the fight pit onto Seth Rollins, while he was going down, I thought it didn't look very impressive, but he squashed Seth Rollins on this landing. He crushed this man.
Now, here's the fascinating thing. I had the almost exact opposite reaction.
Yeah, you were like, that was dumb, and then they showed replays, and you were like, well,
Because I'll tell you why. The first angle of that, I thought that Riddle just landed his ass on Seth Rollins.
Yeah.
And Seth just took the full weight of Riddle's ass on him, which would have hurt like hell.
And that made me go, oh.
Bad. But when they show the second angle, they actually showed that Matt positioned himself perfectly to land it. And I got to give him credit, because most of the time I've never found his stuff to look that great. But this looked great. It looked devastating, but he actually only landed his back and his arms across Seth, where the major weight actually was right in front of where Seth's body was. So it broke his fall, but the majority of where the impact was going was not on the Seth. And I'm like, you know what? That was really well done.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fun match. You know, it was different. I think the fact that Rollins was using like the Rob Van Dam thing because they were in Philly.
Yeah. Was
okay.
Yeah.
Except it made me want to go, man, I wish Rob Van Dam would be here and do something for no reason.
Yep.
But I understand that they're trying to do the homages, but it's not like Rob's dead.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, that's the weird thing about doing tributes of people who aren't there, and yet you're going to do a DX reunion the next night and not mention Billy Gunn at all.
Yeah. Well, the crowd, well, I think the crowd chanted for him a little bit, and Corey Graves said something to the effect of, he's playing with office equipment on the other show.
Yeah.
Which was kind of funny.
Basically.
But we did not mention one thing. We did not mention one thing that...
What's that?
We were talking about crowd reactions, and the crowd was excited during this match. It just wasn't for this match.
No. Because in all the times that we were wondering what was going on all night, we were wondering, when's Wyatt going to show up?
Yeah.
And the fans were also asking, but out loud,
we
want Wyatt.
Right now, it's usually that third word starts with a T, you know, the we want, but this time it was we want Wyatt.
Yes.
And I mean, again, this match was fine, and it's good that Matt Riddle finally got a big win on pay-per-view. And the main event of the show, It's just that during the match and the afters, it was completely overshadowed by what came next.
To be fair, at least the crowd was kind of into it towards the end.
Yeah. What did you think of the finish, by the way?
Fine.
I felt it was a little too subtle. Like, I don't know. Like, I mean, it was a good, solid tap out. It's just, I would have made it more obvious that Seth was, like, tapping out. Because he kind of just did it quickly and quietly. And everyone was like, oh, he tapped out. You know what I mean?
You know who else used to tap out like that when he tapped out, which was hardly ever? Triple H, baby.
Yeah.
You remember how weak his tap out was to John Cena? It was literally like two fingers like raised up and down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's he got that from his mentor.
Yeah. All right, so would you like to know Skyler's thoughts on this matchup?
Tell me what Skyler's thoughts on this matchup.
Oh, I'll tell you what he said about this matchup, Skyler. Our main event. I just said a bunch of sounds. Fight pit match. Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle, Joshua in parentheses. Didn't know that was his last name. Does Joshua even know who Daniel Cormier is?
I'm sorry, this is the stupidest bit we've ever done on this program.
Yes.
Is just making sure that we parenthesize our names.
And I love it.
Ridiculous.
We're always going to do it. It's going to be a staple of our shows now.
Yes, before you start reading, I have to switch tracks.
Okay.
So, get that Cadillac. And I'm going to say once again how ridiculous this bit is of us saying our names in parentheses throughout this whole thing. But now, for every time that there's ever notes, we will have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's up?
All right. First line. Does Joshua even know who Daniel Cormier is? Yes, I do. I know. I don't watch UFC, but I know of some UFC fighters, and I've heard of Daniel Cormier. It does not matter, but just for his sake. DC is a former mix. I know who he is, Skyler. I'm skipping your explanation of who he is. If you have a problem with that...
Wait a minute. Don't you want to know that he's a former mixed martial arts fighter who fought in the UFC and was their light heavyweight and heavyweight division champion at different points?
I find it funny that this man used to be a light heavyweight. He's not anymore.
No, he is not. And I actually thought about that when they mentioned it. When he walked down to the ring, it was like, light heavyweight. I'm like, well, you know, the end of everybody's career hits hard.
Yeah. At least Matt Riddle is not a starfish under the sea in this match.
Thank God for that. He was wearing his NXT attire, and I appreciated that. And on Raw, when he did the jumping flip-flop thing, colored raccoons came out of his toes. Dude, I don't even know what was going on with the birds they sent out of his toes this time.
It's just random animals at this point.
Just like, what else do you got in the system? Like,
although Corey Graves called them trash pandas, and that made me laugh.
You know what I bet it is? I bet Kevin Dunn is literally sitting there going, all right, I asked Vince McMahon for like a $15,000 a week budget for 3D graphics. And Vince is saying we have to use all $15,000, otherwise we won't get the pizza party at the end of the year. So every week or every month we got to use these 3D graphic budgets, like the kissy face with the braid of hair and all the ridiculous ones and all these birds. We have to use them, otherwise we are not going to get our pizza party. And we could fit the whole pizza on my teeth.
I do not understand why animals come out of Matt Riddle's toes.
Never been an explanation.
And likely never will be an explanation. Other than he does weed, I guess.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, so do I, but birds don't fly out of my ass, I'll tell you what.
That you know of.
That I'm fully know of. I know what goes in and out of my rectum, I'll thank you very much.
Yeah, you want that to be Scarlet. Anyway, with a strap on. The fight pit is an interesting match type since it works a different style of cage match that works for Matt Riddle specifically. It combines last man standing with a cage match with no ropes and makes for a different style of wrestling / MMA style match. Hopefully we can see it a little bit more.
Hold on. You messed up a word. Its fight pit is an interesting match type since it's a different style of cage match that works for Matt Riddle's specialty.
Oh. whatever.
It's Matt Riddle's specialty.
Matt Riddle's specialty, even though the only fight pit match he been in, he lost.
His match with fight will not true anymore. He beat Seth Rollins.
Seth Rollins. Where is Seth Rollins?
Seth Rollins, you're taking your laundry and you're
Mr. Anderson. Alright, anyway.
How did we get to this point?
We're losing it, Sean. Rollins RVD tribute time in Philly. RVD would notice the tribute if he were not busy smoking a blunt while Katie Forbes shakes her ass on his face. I mean,
in his face.
Yeah, inside of his face. Well, like
a distinction without a difference, perhaps.
Mouth wide open, just deep in there, anyway. Tickling his esophagus. My jaw's wide open!
Katie's on my face. I can't do anything.
I need oxygen. Anyway.
I'm gonna pass out.
With a smile on my face.
I should call Liv.
Jesus Christ. Oh
my God, that's amazing. Continue, Skyler.
That went so far off the rails that we're never gonna get back on this. They're not gonna let us back on this train.
We haven't even finished the show yet.
No, we have not.
Continue.
I know Daniel is a name in the mixed martial arts world, but honestly, to me, he was a hat on a hat and did not need to be here. Don't really agree with that.
Disagree.
He helped give legitimacy to this match.
He did.
I know Daniel is a wrestling fan, but at least Daniel knows well enough at his age and weight that he should not be wrestling.
He wasn't wrestling. He was a referee.
Yeah.
All this stuff. Your logic.
Skyler's logic is a thing to behold, ladies and gentlemen. All this stuff on the platform was cool, and it was nice that they had a big enough section on the platform to do those spots on. Now that is a big boy senton. Riddle wins the fight pit match and gets his win back. It is the only right that he gets the win and fully deserves it. By the way, do not feel bad for Seth Rollins. He rebounded and won the U.S. title after Brock Lesnar attacked Bobby Lashley on Raw. Triple H teasing me to watch Crown Jewel once again. Wonder what Riddle does next. And he kind of stole my thunder because I was going to go into a whole diatribe about how on Raw we had Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins for the U.S. title. Brock Lesnar came back, booped Bobby Lashley in the face with a microphone, then F5'd him and German suplexed Bobby Lashley right on his damn shoulder again, and then got him in the Kimura lock to furthermore rip off his arm, and then Seth Rollins came out and they had a brief match, and Seth Rollins won the U.S. title. Although, my favorite thing about the match was Seth was doing the thing where he was like, I thought you said you were a fighting champion. Fight me, coward. He was like, Bobby, I thought you were a soldier. And everyone was like, ooh. And he was like, not only are you a disgrace to this company, you're a disgrace to your country. And everyone was like, ooh. It was actually pretty good. And then Seth Rollins won the title.
What a great story they told on Monday Night Raw.
Hell yeah, bro.
And you know, it's interesting here because then, you know, Riddle gets his win, and then they're like, all right, goodbye, and nobody believed. This was a classic Triple H. The end of this show was classic Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
They do the end credit thing on the bottom, and then right as they're signing off, saying goodbye forever, here comes the chickity boo ba diggity doo da. Here comes Bray Wyatt's thing.
Yeah.
Would you like to describe the chickity doo da biggity boo ba Bray Wyatt's thing?
Okay, so Matt Riddle's celebrating with Daniel Cormier on the ramp. We're probably gonna go back and smoke some of Matt Riddle's blunts. Then the lights go out and everyone starts going nuts because we all know what this is. And then Bray Wyatt starts singing, I've got the whole world, he's got the whole world in his hands, whatever that song's called. I'm tired. And everyone again just starts going nuts. Then the camera zooms in on this dude in a Huskus the Pig outfit. Then the camera zooms back out and zooms in on a buzzard. And real quick, just once again, Kevin Dunn sucks at his job. He zoomed in on the buzzard as the light that was on, the spotlight was on the buzzard. The buzzard's light went out while he was still zooming in on the buzzard, so he had to immediately cut away. Because Kevin Dunn sucks.
Oh, it's funny.
So then it zoomed in on another creepy former Firefly Funhouse person. And then it zoomed in on the Fiend. And everyone just kept going apeshit. And then
the head.
Yeah, and then the head on the announce table, which was just weird. And then we pan to a door on the ramp, which was a little bit of a nod to Brody Lee, because when he appeared in AEW, he came through a door, and the lighting was the exact same.
Yep.
And I believe that one of the creepy figures in the crowd wore the same mask that Brody Lee wore when he was one of the Bludgeon Brothers. So
could be.
There was a couple little homages to Brody Lee, which makes sense because him and Bray Wyatt were close. And then we go to a dilapidated, hasn't been utilized or cleaned in 80 years, Firefly Funhouse, where the music is glitching in and out. And then we go to the TV. This made me think of like PS1 Twisted Metal type stuff.
Yeah.
You have the creepy mask bobbling around saying, "Who killed the world? Why, you did, my darling." And then it was just creepy laughing. Then it cuts out. And then out from the door comes Bray Wyatt wearing the mask. Crowd is loudly chanting, "Holy shit." Bray Wyatt takes the mask off. And it's so loud. It's Bray Wyatt. It's so loud that you can't hear him when he says, "I'm here." And then he blows out the lantern. And there's a really cool looking logo on the screen, and then that's the end of the show.
Love the logo.
The logo was great.
Logo is dope. Love the logo.
Now, can I give you my opinions on this real quick?
Yes, please.
Okay.
You have the floor.
I have some positives and negatives about this. Positive. I like Bray Wyatt. Even though the end of his run in WWE was some of the worst TV I've ever watched in my life, and they just completely obliterated and destroyed the Fiend to the point where I never wanted to see it again. It was good to see Bray Wyatt back. It was creepy, and they held off on him until the end of the show. And follow up on Raw, they showed a replay of this on Raw, and then Bray did another TV set spooky promo that was only like a couple seconds long. And I think they're doing this smart because they didn't just have Bray Wyatt come out to the ring and have a match. They're not overusing Bray Wyatt yet. They're kind of holding off on using him, which I like because you don't want the crowd to immediately get sick of him.
Right.
So I like that. However, my problem with this is, Bray Wyatt came back, but the way they did it had almost nothing to do with the build-up beforehand. There was no Jefferson airplane. There was nothing about a rabbit except for one of the Firefly Funhouse rambling rabbits standing up back there in the back, but it wasn't the white rabbit. So basically nothing that they used to build up this entire campaign was in the payoff of Bray Wyatt coming back. It was just kind of random, you know what I mean? And I'm sure you've seen the recordings of, like, at the WWE SmackDown Raw shows, off the air, they would play the vocals from the Jefferson Airplane song, and at the end of the song, when it crescendos, the red lights would come on, and there was a red circle in the middle of the ring. Because that was a whole part of the whole mystery. There was none of that in this reveal. It was just spooky Bray Wyatt. And I was like, I mean, it's cool, and the crowd is going nuts, but it was just kind of just lame. Because it didn't have anything to do with a white rabbit or Jefferson Airplane or anything like that.
Well, I have a theory about that.
Okay.
And it's probably wrong, but I have a theory about that. Triple H wants a quality misdirection.
Mm-hmm.
And that misdirection was Bray Wyatt. I don't think we've seen the revelation of the White Rabbit just yet. The reason being, there have been little hints and indicators that it could be a number of other people, including Karrion Kross or Aleister Black. Because Aleister Black's music was originally, the lyrics of it were used in some of the initial packages.
And there were still QR codes on the next episode of Raw.
And that makes me think that Bray Wyatt, at this point, now let me tell you what I liked about this with Bray Wyatt, because I think that what it's going to happen is we're going to get Aleister Black, or where Skyler was asking, how are they going to do spooky Karrion Kross, we're going to find out a little bit more about these individual players, like the female could be Scarlett, and Karrion Kross could be Beaker, and, you know, we could have these more of a convergence of that, because I assume all of these now humanly manifested dolls are going to be revealed as people eventually. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some sort of convergence of those two in some way. But I'm getting ahead of myself, and apparently ahead of WWE here, because here's my other interesting factor about this. Not only do I think that Wyatt has been a diversion, I also think they have zero idea who they want him to work with.
Yeah, exactly. Because the whole thing of the show was Bray Wyatt's back. And that's it. Full stop. No Bray Wyatt. There's no reason for him being back, or there's no target in mind. The point is he's back. And everyone's like, but for what?
Problem with this.
Yeah, that's also another issue.
Because it was literally just spook for the sake of spook and be like, I'm here. Howdy, y'all. Good night. That's it. But I will say this. Here's also what I think. Because I have another theory about this too. So this is, if it is not the we haven't seen the White Rabbit theory, my theory is this. Bray Wyatt doing spooky stuff. Was Bray Wyatt just Bray Wyatt during that promo?
No, he was in the weird Twisted Metal mask edit thing.
Okay, so he's wearing that mask, but did he say anything about the other people? Because my thought was that this was going to be something of a shedding of previous gimmicks to kind of bring in, like, you know, Bray Wyatt himself, because that's what I kind of suspected that him taking that last mask off was symbolizing.
Well, he basically said like two things in this promo. He said something to the effect of, I've been trying to get out of the cage that was my mind, revel in what you are, and he just said revel in what you are over and over and over again, and then the promo ended, so he didn't say much.
Yeah, see, I kind of think it's Bray Wyatt. I think it might be Triple H trying to, like, bring Bray Wyatt to some level of, like, stability. Like, with him still being, you know, still being able to do a lot of the spooky stuff that he wants to do, but maybe on a little toned down level. Because I noticed that Triple H seems to be a little less into doing really hokey cinematic stuff outside of the context of, like, wrestling. Like, with NXT, he didn't really do a whole lot of major spookifying. And there was word when Wyatt left, you know, there was discussions, you know, and articles came out that it was Wyatt actually, like, saying that the stuff that was going on was actually Vince's idea and that it went too far because that's what Vince wanted. And that it may not have all come from Bray's head. And so what makes me wonder about this is Bray's rehab under Triple H going to be the return of a more regular Bray Wyatt that's almost more the Swamp Bray Wyatt that is more of just him? And will that work?
I'm not sure. I'm definitely intrigued, but I have no idea how this is going to go. Or if it's even going to work.
But I also thought it diminished his return, him not having a target.
Yeah, that is true.
Him just being there was just, okay, so what? And now, to be fair, and Skyler will mention this in a minute, he's gotten a lot of views on his return. A lot of people liked that, especially because I liked the whole scene of like the funhouse being basically a graveyard, saying this is not the way that Bray Wyatt is going to be presented anymore. This era of Bray Wyatt is over. We recognize that that's what it is, but that is all in the past now. It is a new era of Bray Wyatt. Kind of just going back to Bray being Bray. I'm definitely interested in where it goes, but I really wish that he had chosen somebody, but I'm also simultaneously glad that he did not choose Seth Rollins again.
Yes, that would have been awful.
Or even worse, Riddle for no reason.
That also would have been ass.
So, I'm going to count my blessings on that one and say him not having a target was better than the two choices he could have had at the end of the show.
It could have been better. It could have been astronomically worse.
Yeah. It's just, it felt like it's Triple H going, all right, here he is. Just give us a minute.
Yeah, that is exactly what that was.
And he will do something.
Yes.
We just don't know what yet.
Creepy Twisted Metal PS1 promos.
But there he is. So what did Skyler have to say about Bray's return?
Bray Wyatt's return. Joshua, parentheses. Didn't know that was his last name. So we have an official return. Every time.
It's the dumbest bit. I love it so much.
Bray Wyatt is here. I must say, this return was done well, paying tribute to Bray's previous gimmicks and moving forward with Bray. From what I have heard, this return was finalized when Vince was still around, so it was interesting to see what Bray will be doing under Triple H instead of Vince. While we question how Bray Wyatt is used and the usage of his gimmicks in terms of the rest of the roster, what cannot be denied is that Bray himself is valuable. In the 72 hours since his return, Bray's return video has been seen over 13 million times on YouTube. That is amazing and shows people like seeing Bray. I will be cautiously optimistic as with everything else I watch with WWE.
Fair assessment.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
All right, sir. It's grading time.
So before we get into our final grades and final thoughts on the show, can you just go ahead and read out the rest of Skyler's notes?
Yes, there's a lot of notes coming on, but we will do all of it, and then we'll give our final grades. Final grade, Sean in parentheses. I didn't know that was his last name. In a way, Extreme Rules 2022 was about what I expected. Lots of gimmicks that got tired quickly. Lots of milking in the I Quit match especially, and lots of issues in terms of repeating spots. The low point easily was Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan, simply because both those women suck in the ring for different reasons, but suck nonetheless. However, despite all of that, I was not bored besides the I Quit match. In the end, Extreme Rules is a B pay-per-view and very much is an anime filler arc pay-per-view. It is not essential to the canon of the main story, but serves as a time waster to something bigger. The filler arc known as Extreme Rules did provide some decent action, and if nothing else, gave some character insights to some of these people. What? Gave some character. I think that's supposed to be insight.
I was thinking that too, but let's just say he's talking about some of these people's like innards, their insides, their body parts.
The guts of some of these people's gimmick, if for nothing else. If for nothing else was used twice in that sentence. Somebody graduated from the Department of Redundancy Department. We need shows like these to calm us down after getting bangers like SummerSlam and Clash and get us excited for future shows. At the very least, the roster is getting better and there are more people I like on the roster than I did last year. Kind of true. As for a grade, I give the show a 5 out of 10. To be clear, my scale of grading goes as follows. 10 perfect, 7 to 9 good/great, 4 to 6 average, 1 to 3 bad shows, 0 ass.
And that's what Skyler gets, 0 ass. I had to. I had to. You set yourself up for that one, buddy.
Ow.
You walked right into that one.
Man, ow. I felt that burn on the East Coast. Here, I got caught in the like ricochet fire that fireball sent.
Put that in your hockey puck indentation and smoke it.
My God, Pelican Petey loves me them titties. But He's got another piece here, which has got a fucking page worth single spaced. Quick discussion. Sean in parentheses.
Didn't know that was the last name.
Oh, folks. If you're still here, God bless you. I wanted to put this separate from the review and pose this as a final question for both of you and something to ponder. We've seen what Triple H is doing with WWE so far in terms of changes he's made to the roster and certain presentation. The most notable thing so far is the return of wrestlers like Karrion Kross, Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Johnny Gargano, and others. We have also seen the formation, recreation, and creation of lots of stables and tag teams such as Imperium, Hit Row, Damage Control, Legado del Fantasma, Yippee, Gallows and Anderson /OC. I didn't know that was their last name. Very much Triple H is trying to remake the roster in his own image and do what he wants to do with pro wrestling. We've said in the past that we know for sure that this will take time and some things are out of Triple H's control. For example, Extreme Rules being the show was because of what Extreme Rules has become and not something Triple H could fix overnight. Good point. The question I ask you is this. When do you think it is fair to judge Triple H on the product he is making independent of Vince McMahon's past booking? I.e., when can we start to blame Triple H for things that don't work and not just chalk it up to, oh, well, Triple H can't change that or Vince would have done this? For my money, I suspect we will not get a real sense of what Triple H wants to do in WWE until 2023. I don't think it's even going to be that quick.
It's going to take a while.
It is. I think it's not. It's going to take a long time. It's going to take certain people leaving and them being put in with different people.
Looking at you, Beaver Boy.
Once they figure out those loopholes in those 5-year AEW contracts, look out. So you've been hired by the WWE.
That was so good. That needs to be a song.
Yeah, you really shouldn't have been fired. WWE.
Now you don't have to work for AEW. AEW. And now you'll be taken seriously.
My God. Once we have had more time away from Vince's WWE and get more into Triple H's booking and roster consumption, then we can gauge where WWE goes from here. Sadly, I do think it will take many years, decades, and even possibly a lifetime to fix all the damage Vince McMahon has done to pro wrestling. But Triple H is someone to have hope and confidence in, so we will see how Trips does and his team does. But suffice to say, if people are mad about something not changing fast enough, give it time. Rome was not built in a day, and neither was Triple H's NXT. Anyways, thank you for reading my notes, you. Enjoy yourselves, and I will be back for next week's show. Take care and see you all then. Regards, General Notes Regards, General NOTEBURG Skyler Greenberg.
I didn't know that was his last name.
I did. And so, let's kind of work backwards here about this. Like, when do you think the time is right for Triple H to start receiving criticism?
Honestly, it depends on what happened, because there are some things you can criticize Triple H for. For example, Raquel Gonzalez and Aaliyah winning the women's tag team titles for no reason and then losing them the next week. That is small, but that's like a very small thing, because A, no one cares about the women's tag team titles. And B, I mean, just the way they did it didn't damage control that much. Say that 5 times faster in a sentence. It wasn't that big of a deal. But as far as like bigger picture things, for example, the whole theme of Extreme Rules and just stuff like that, and the whole production of the show, when you still have Vince McMahon holdovers, there are some things that you can criticize Triple H for, and there are other things that are clearly not his fault. But the longer time goes on, it depends on how many things change and how quickly things change. Because if there are certain things that just don't change that really should, then we can start leaning more into Triple H criticism. But again, the bigger changes, I'm not going to be quick to bring out the pitchforks and torches for Triple H for.
Yeah. I think right now, it's going to take more than just 2023 to determine exactly what Triple H does and does not have control over.
Plus, we're still in the honeymoon phase.
Right, and I think it's also going to take a lot of time for Triple H to weed out what the real issues are in this company. I mean, I know Triple H has been very much active in everything that main roster WWE has done for a very long time, right? I'm not saying that he doesn't have a boatload of knowledge in that respect, but there is still a big difference between Triple H's former seat and his current seat. And there's a lot of things that he will have to consider now that he probably did not have to before. And in that way, I think that with him and Stephanie, because Stephanie's a big part of that too, you know, as the CEO, she's the one who's got to take control of certain people hiring and firing, what happens with production. And really, my thing is, we're going to probably critique Triple H on things that aren't his fault until the format of this show inherently changes fundamentally.
Mm-hmm.
And that will mean that booking that may be sensical doesn't hit right because it's the same format that we're dealing with all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not that Triple H would be doing the wrong things. It's just that they're doing the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be really where it is. It's got to be changes in camera angles. It's got to be no more fucking Bucky Beaver. It's got to be how the production truck frames their show. You know, I can see the changes in how the matches are being done. You could tell that.
Yes.
There's a difference between Triple H style and Vince style. Very easily you can tell that in the way that people are wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is, if you're using the same Instagram filter on every photo you do, is it even a filter at some point?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it just what it is? And you got to change what is causing the problem, and that is just repetition. They need to see something different beyond just changing the color palette of the logo. It's got to be at the core of how things are done. And I think that Triple H is going to, over the next year or two, discover where those problems are. More so than he did, you know, now. And remember, Triple H was thrust into this position.
Yeah.
So Triple H is still getting his land legs about him. And that's also another key part of this, is that Triple H has got a lot of learning on the fly himself, because it wasn't like Vince was like, all right, time to go. That's business is yours, son. It was like, okay, getting sued for a lot of money. Bad deal. You're in charge now. Good luck. Here are the keys. Tell Paul Heyman to learn how to uncuff handcuffs. I might need that later.
Don't put your penis in anyone's face.
That's right. And so Vince went off and retired. So Triple H had to just kind of take it up and just kind of hold on to the ship right now for as it is. And who knows how long Triple H is going to be in that position with his medical condition that he's got. You know, who knows what's going to become of long-term Triple H. You know, right now, as interesting as it's been with Triple H in charge, we do not know the longevity of such. Especially with still rumors being just as prevalent as they were before.
I was surprised that he was in the ring on Raw. This past Raw, when they did the DX reunion, I'm surprised that he was in the ring.
I think that might have been one of the last times, too. I think that was kind of a, hey, all of these degenerates became the corporate that they were fighting against. So
yep.
Get a good look, folks, because this is probably the last time this shit's happening. And for good reason. Sorry, folks. I like all of you, but stop. But at the end of the day, I guess to answer the question is, we're not going to be able to accurately judge Triple H, I think, until he's really had a couple of years under his belt experience in this specific job.
Yeah, firstly, we need to get out of this honeymoon phase.
Well, we need to get out of the honeymoon phase. I'm sure there's going to be discussion about the Saudi Arabia deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's going to be network discussions even, you know, as how things are going. And if they do sell, what is going to become and who's going to be buying and what that is going to change about what WWE is and does. You know, there's still a lot in flux here. But for what it's worth, it's too early to tell because there's going to be a lot of Vince on WWE for a very long time. And how much of that does Triple H like and want to keep going is another question. Because there's probably some Vince stuff that we hate that he's like, you know what, it worked enough.
Yeah.
And that scares me too.
Yeah.
But with that said, we got a good flavor of WWE format on Extreme Rules. What is your final grade?
Okay, I've been debating on this because, again, I think we all three of us can agree that this was the weakest of the Triple H era thus far. It wasn't bad. It wasn't awful. It was, in comparison to WrestleMania 38 Night 2, this was the best show ever. But it was just kind of middle of the road. It was all right. There was some good stuff. There was some bad stuff. But a lot of it was just, eh. There was a lot of eh on this show. There was a lot more eh on this show than there was at Clash and SummerSlam. So, I'm going to go a teeny bit higher than Skyler did because I think I like this show more than Skyler did. I'm going to give this show a modest 6 out of 10.
Huh.
I thought it was good, but definitely not great.
Well, amazingly, I am not going to be in the middle of you two this time.
Aw.
Not this time. In fact, the Oreo cream filling is going to be Skyler.
Ooh la la.
Yeah, well, maybe. Skyler wants to get involved with that. But in any case, here's why. I mentioned at the top of the show that this is not made for me. This is not my style. I would much prefer just regular old matches, just doing what they do and having a stipulation when the situation calls for it. This demonstrated, like Skyler mentioned, I said before, this was WWE format at its ugliest to me. And yes, they were all different matches. I prefer different stipulation matches each match rather than having 2 Money in the Bank matches on the same show. Yeah, I'll be honest about that, but I would much prefer that Extreme Rules be done away with. And that's the kind of stuff that's going to take Triple H time to get rid of. And that's really where we're going to see his mark be felt. Is he going to get rid of gimmick pay-per-views so he can have gimmicks back to when they need to be gimmicks? It's going to be in the little things like that that are going to make the difference, but he's not going to be able to make those changes right away. It's not like he's just going to be able to rebrand Hell in a Cell and Elimination Chamber and Extreme Rules all in one hit. That ain't happening. There's no way that's happening. Do you think that's happening?
I doubt it.
I doubt it.
It'd be nice, but I doubt it.
Yeah, that's what's going to take time. But the point is, these matches were, for the most, nothing was offensive except for Ronda and Liv.
Oh, God.
That was offensive.
That was bad.
Offensive to all senses.
That was vile and putrid.
That was bad. Everything else was fine. But that's about as much as I could give. Unfortunately, this, as you said, was the weakest of the Triple H pay-per-views, and this is Triple H's, and I hate to be the one to distribute this to him, but this is Triple H's second 4 out of 10. Because the first obviously came from Bret Hart in the original description of what 4 out of 10 meant, which was his description of Triple H's matches. So this gets a Bret Hart certified 4 out of 10 for me.
So we got a 4, a 5, and a 6.
Not the worst show we've seen from WWE this year.
No.
There's nothing that can top the worst show this year.
Not even close.
Not even close. Not in a discussion.
I mean, remember, we had that awful... We had Day 1, which was not good. We had that awful Royal Rumble. We had... WrestleMania 38 Night 1, in my opinion, was not very good. But my God, Night 2 was nightmarish.
Oh. Night 1 was WrestleMania 3 compared to Night 2.
Yeah.
It was, and the Day 1 pay-per-view, and it was that desolate. We had quit watching WWE. We had given up.
Yeah. And AEW that was when AEW was starting to come apart at the seams.
Yeah. And now Triple H has at least gotten us back into watching these shows because I think that they are now worth watching because it's interesting to see where the changes are made. And there are different changes every show.
And also, just saying, speaking of that, even though, Sean, you weren't super crazy about the show, you didn't feel insulted or like your passion for wrestling was disparaged over the course of this show.
Just in Corey Graves saying that Liv Morgan's going to have broken ribs because of a wiffle ball bat.
Besides that.
That was the only thing that really made me feel insulted. Everything else was fine. They just did stuff that WWE is so clichély known to do. And that's what, until that changes, we're not going to get actual real change in WWE. And that core format is going to take a lot of time to change. But what's going to change for us is that Skyler is going to make his return next week. And folks, this has been a long as fuck podcast.
On my end, it's been almost 3 hours.
Yeah, we've been going for a long time, but folks, next week Skyler returns to bring you his thoughts, his returns, his happy joy from vacation, whatever his angry rants he feels like, the news. He's going to talk about Antonio Inoki. It's going to be a hell of a time. Stick around for that. But until then, it's time to go to our first commercial break. Josh, again, thank you for being on Cormarsh Podcast.
I got you, boy. My noodles are cold. Shit.
As always, that's right. Couldn't slurp on the podcast, otherwise we really would get canceled. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching, and we will see you right after this.
And thank you guys so much for joining us on the Totally Awesome Podcast for this near 3 hour long show. Good God. And thank you, Sean, for joining me. Make sure you destroy that subscribe button for TAW Gaming and for the Yeet Dream Team, even though that channel's kind of dead. And for Super Jam Session and just all the things we do here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for joining.
Whoa, hold on.
And
Did you do that on purpose?
what?
Did you seriously just do that on purpose?
What are you talking about?
No, I know what this is, okay? You think it's funny because I've been doing this CIW invasion. You made a little pot shot before, but now you're going to get all butthurt about it and not add CIW into your little go subscribe to these things anymore? Is this what it's come to? Are you that petty? Are you seriously that petty?
Sorry, we've been doing this for 3 hours. I'm kind of tired, so.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. Like, I see what this is. Okay, fine. All right. I understand now. Okay. See you, TAW. I get what this is. Peace.
Okay. Good night, everybody. That was something.